on this episode of the Haunted Objects Podcast.
Yeah, so get your together, Mythbusters.
Yeah, let's start a beef.
No, let's not.
Let's start Dana and I are going to start a beef.
They might have more fans than us, but
I also think they're probably way smarter than we are, too.
Whatever.
What makes you say that?
I have a pyramid on my head.
I mean, come on, guys.
Whatever, hater.
From deep inside the mysterious archives of the Newkirk Museum of the Paranormal, it's the Haunted Objects Podcast.
I want you to imagine, Dana, that you're in the desert.
Yeah.
Golden sand is glistening in the hot sun.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And all of a sudden, in the distance, you see a giant triangle.
Yeah.
And it's glowing almost gold in the sunlight.
Yeah.
You're staring at a pyramid.
Yeah.
What kind of feelings do you feel as you're staring at this pyramid?
I'm going, ooh, that's cool. That's what I'm doing.
I think that's probably what everyone did for thousands of years. They went, ooh, that's cool.
Went, whoa.
Connor, what do you think of when you think of a pyramid?
I want to climb up to the top.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right?
Yeah, I feel that way.
Because it's called a step pyramid. That's what the common pyramids that we think of are. They're step pyramids. Apparently much easier to climb up than they are to jump down, because you're jumping down onto uneven rocks.
It's because you have to fall down.
Right.
Which is exactly what I would do if I climbed to the top.
It's the last great wonder of the ancient world.
Mm-hmm. I think that's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I see a pyramid, what I think of immediately is I hear the Unsolved Mysteries theme in my head, and I start to... We don't have clearance.
Oh, shoot.
That sounded like bad to the bone anyway.
Okay, good.
I wish we could get that one anyway. I'm filled with wonder when I see pyramids. I imagine... I got to get inside that thing. What's inside that thing?
You don't want to climb on it. You want to get inside of it.
That's it. I want to get inside that pyramid. I want to crawl around and I want to see what's in there.
Yeah.
I want to smell the stale air.
Yeah.
I want to pretend that I'm Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I want all therapists in the comments right now to tell us why Connor climbing on top of the pyramids and Greg climbing through it, what does that mean?
Well,
give us some insight.
It's because Connor wants to dominate the thing.
Yeah.
He wants to totally
He wants to be the king of it.
He wants to be the king. He wants to get on top.
Get to the top.
And me, I want to worm my way into the inside and destroy it from the inside out.
Two Scorpio traits. So you're just covering the both sides of the same coin.
I can't wait to hear what the therapist is like. Ooh.
What a Leo would do. We would look for a place to sit down.
You're like, that's mine now. I'm going to live in there?
Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't want to live in there. No way. It's dirty...
you want to be buried in there?
No.
Oh. What?
I want to look at it. I want to experience it. But it's like... It seems like it's out in the middle of nowhere. Like it seems desolate.
Regardless, we all have very different approaches to what we do and think when we see pyramids. Mm-hmm. The pyramids have been inspiring that kind of awe in plenty of people for thousands of years.
Do you believe in pyramid power? While the ancient pyramids have captivated humans for centuries, some believe that these ancient structures are capable of miraculous feats. This phenomenon, known as pyramid power, suggests that true paranormal potential lies within the triangular form. Some even claim to have harnessed this power themselves. These vintage copper pyramids, allegedly produced by a CIA-backed rocket scientist, are said to preserve food, sharpen razors, and even unlock your latent psychic abilities, if you're bold enough to wear one on your head for a few hours. Is there truly a hidden energy source within these iconic structures? Or is it all just an elaborate illusion? What supernatural secrets do the pyramids truly hold? The truth remains shrouded in mystery, which means one thing. It's time to conduct some very strange experiments.
In order to really get into what this episode is covering today, which is pyramid power, we're going to have to do a few tests. And I think these are going to be the most fun tests we've ever done on this show.
Yeah.
One of them...
Judging by all of the things that you have hidden by the side of your desk right now, it looks like we're about to have a party.
He looks like a prop comic.
Yeah.
He came down here looking like a prop comic.
He's
Connor,
got big Gallagher energy.
I'm glad you said that because I think it's time that you and I, Dana, put our pyramids on.
All right.
Okay.
Is this an over the headphones?
Over the headphones. I think it'll fit. Here we go. Does it look cool?
Your hair is so pushed down. You look like a werewolf, man.
I do have a bit of that Eddie Munster gene in me, don't I?
I think you should keep it like that.
Is it bad? Will you fix my hair?
No, it's so good.
I don't think you can fix it.
There's no fix.
It's going to be there for the whole thing. Is this on the chin like this?
However you think you look cooler.
By taking the whole thing off.
It
looks fine. You can put it under your chin.
That's the right way to wear it.
Yeah, we look great now.
On camera. I can see your eyebrows. It's right in the centered.
For those of you who are listening to the audio podcast, if you want to know what we're doing right now, we've put on copper gold-plated pyramids on our heads. These are incredibly expensive. We'll get into that. I did not pay the going rate for these things, and I want everyone to know that, because if you look at these, you're going to find that they're like $6,000 for some of these things. It's crazy, but we're going to get into why it's crazy. These are alleged to improve your mood.
Yeah.
To give you better erections.
Nice.
That's
exactly what I want.
To keep fruit fresher longer if you keep it under a pyramid. It's supposed to make you more intelligent. It's supposed to align your aura and your chakras. And all kinds of crazy stuff. Improve the taste of city water.
Yeah.
Make cigarettes taste better.
All right.
Make coffee less acidic.
Yeah.
Make lemon juice drinkable. And make your sleep more restful.
Some of the things on this list are things that you don't even, like, why would you want to drink lemon juice?
It's just an experiment. It's one that apparently plenty of people have tried. Plenty of people into pyramid power have tried. We're going to actually try that one on the show. So what we're going to do, I have another pyramid right here. Another copper pyramid. These were made by Pyridine. And I have a little thing here because the way that these work, according to the instructions, is one of the corners of the pyramid has to be facing due north.
Okay.
So I've got a little thing here that shows where north is on my desk. Set it down. And I have an assortment of things that come from this Pyridine Systems book. This book here is from the 70s, Pyridine Systems, and they have experiments that you can perform with the Pyridome, which is what we're wearing on our heads. We're going to try those. So down here I have an assortment of things. I have this thing of lemon juice right here.
Human urine.
It does look like urine. I promise it's not. You'll find out soon.
That laugh.
This doesn't taste like lemon juice at all.
I have a single menthol cigarette.
Great.
We'll place that underneath the pyramid here, facing north. And then I have a bottle. I don't want to show it on camera because I don't want to offend the people who made it, but this is like...
Truly the most disgusting vodka.
The worst vodka I've ever drank, and it is too expensive for what it is.
It's a good one to pick because it'll make it taste better.
Yeah.
That's the idea. I want you to smell this, and you tell me if this
smells like nail polish remover.
It does. It's bad.
It smells like Christmas booze balls.
I thought you were going to say, it smells like Christmas with my dad.
Well, also that.
Sad.
So I'm going to pour some of that in here.
Everyone has to pee now.
I hope you don't listen to podcasts while you sleep. All right, we're putting that under. There we go.
Nice.
All right, let's do the same thing with the lemon juice.
So far, for people at home who don't know, there's a pyramid on Greg's table that is now has a almost full-size glass of vodka and a cigarette.
We're all going to share it.
It's a party. I'm describing it at home for the people.
I have here fresh squeezed lemon juice. You guys watched me squeeze this 10 lemons in here. There's still some seeds, so be careful when you drink this. Here we go. Okay. All right. So we got lemon juice under here. I think that's good. We got 3 things.
So you'll leave that
Yeah, we're going to leave
and we'll
this.
try them out after they've been under the pyramid for 20, 30 minutes.
That's the rule. You're supposed to leave it for at least 20 minutes. Some things they say take longer.
20. What? I can't wait to find out more about this.
I'll set a timer.
I also should say, like, I've not smoked a cigarette since I was 8.
I love that that's the detail.
It was one cigarette I've smoked in my life.
Yeah.
I threw up everywhere. It was down by the railroad tracks with my buddy Walt. And
was it a menthol?
No, it was not a menthol.
Oh.
It wasn't a menthol.
Well, that explains it.
Oh, okay. Well, this one is a menthol, and the reason that there's menthol cigarettes is because they specifically suggest to use a menthol cigarette because it will make it not only smoother, but it will also make the menthol taste go away.
Okay.
They claim, allegedly.
Why wouldn't you just smoke a non-menthol cigarette?
I don't know. It's an experiment, Dana.
All right. I'm asking too many questions.
We're doing science.
All right.
Great.
You might think that we look kind of silly wearing these things on our heads, but you don't think that way when you see people with other pyramids on their heads. Witches' hats.
Yes.
You're a witch?
I think that's a cool detail I didn't know anything about.
When you put your pointy little witch hat on to go out and do your satanic rituals.
Yeah, that's what witches do. That's exactly what witches do.
You are wearing a pyramid on your head.
I think that's kind of cool. I mean, like, it's funny because it makes so much sense now that we know a little bit more about pyramids, but I had no idea that that's the shape of the witch's hat is meant to be a pyramid.
Wizards.
Yes.
There you go. Also, apparently, Connor, you found out the dunce cap is supposed to be a pyramid too, right?
Allegedly, way back in the day, it was something about recentering yourself.
Wow.
And so that you put that on and stand in the corner.
Maybe
who knows?
They were onto something. Maybe the Victorians were onto something.
Yeah, it's called child abuse.
They were onto that. They had like kids
really
working in mines and shit.
They were real good at that.
Well, the idea with some of these pyramids, particularly the pyridine ones that we're wearing, is that they will increase your ability to think.
I am ready for this. Let's go.
Okay, let's try. So part of this is about world heritage, right?
Right.
So let's start with a little bit of wordplay. When I say the name of an object, you say what country it makes you think of. Okay.
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 I can do that.
A baguette.
France.
A beer stein.
Germany.
A pyramid.
Egypt.
No, we're looking for Czechoslovakia.
Oh.
I don't believe you.
That is where the history of pyramid power begins.
Stop it.
God.
I know. Not what you would expect, but it is true that's where it originates. Now, 1971.
I mean, these feel very 70s, right?
Yeah.
These were created in the 70s.
Yeah,
what we're wearing on our heads.
Every single one of them has like so much cocaine residue in them.
Maybe.
They've seen some shit.
1971 is when a seminal text was written on this subject. Psychic discoveries behind the Iron Curtain. The 70s was pre-internet, so when we're doing the research for this episode, it was very much based on books.
Yeah.
And that was really, it sort of became clear through the timeline that one was first.
So Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain. Fascinating book. Worth the read, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks skeptical.
You had to think about it for a second.
That's a 6 out of 10.
Iron Curtain, for our younger listeners, what is the Iron Curtain, Connor?
The Iron Curtain is sort of the blockade that existed over several Eastern European nations and the USSR, keeping them away from exports and Western influence, and they self-isolated for a period of history there.
In the 60s, there were 2 reporters.
Yeah.
One Canadian, Sheila Ostrander.
Shout out Canada.
And American Lynn Schroeder.
Shout out Lynn Schroeder.
They traveled to the Iron Curtain countries to do a bit of research because they came to find that for some reason, those countries, they were a little less incredulous about believing New Age ideas.
Sure.
So they were really into the ideas of psychic surgery and remote viewing, things like that.
Telepathy.
Not that the United States and other countries weren't into that, but they really embraced it and weren't as skeptical about it as other people.
Yeah.
So they went to these countries to kind of do almost an ethnographic study of these beliefs. They were interviewing somebody, and they saw that this guy had a cardboard pyramid on his shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought it was interesting enough to ask this guy. And they said, what is the deal with this? And he said, oh, that's sharpening my razor blades. And they thought, well, that's funny. I've never heard that before. And thus really begins the crazy downward spiral that we call pyramid power. It started with a cardboard pyramid.
Yeah.
On somebody's shelf.
And two women. In the 70s.
They kept asking questions, and they tracked down the source of this razor blade idea.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that for some reason, this cardboard pyramid could keep razor blades sharp. And they could use them like 117 times, I think was what people were doing.
Yeah.
And they noticed that like Russian soldiers were doing this.
Yeah.
Tons of people were doing it. It was harder to import razors over there because of the Iron Curtain.
That's kind of cool. So they noticed like culturally something happening, and they were curious about it.
And they were curious enough that they found a patent. Believe it or not,
that's
there's
crazy.
A patent for this idea. It's a Czechoslovakian patent. It's number, what is it? Number...
Got it right here.
666.
91304.
91304. This
90210.
It is for the method of maintaining the razor blades and straight razor blades sharp by placing them in the magnetic field in such a way that the sharp edge lies in the direction of magnetic lines.
Okay.
So they're using what they think is some kind of magnetism.
And it's keeping the blades sharp and not dull.
This patent belonged to a Czechoslovakian man named Karel Durbel.
Durble.
The Derb. Karel Durbel.
There's going to be a lot of hilarious names as we go forward.
There are. The patent is actually, it translated means Pharaoh's shaving device.
Okay.
Which is very funny.
Mm-hmm. That's cool, though. Like, here's the thing, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with both of you and all of you out there as we continue. I am very susceptible to bullshit like this. So I'm like already really excited about that.
Well, you'll never have to sharpen a razor blade again.
Thank God.
You'll get like 111 uses out of it, according to
That's all I want to hear.
Old Russian soldiers. Here's the thing. Pyramid power goes back even further than that. They found that this guy, Karel Durbel, actually read about this idea in a pamphlet that was released by a guy named Antoine Bovis.
Bovis! All right, so we have Durbel and Bovis.
In the early 1900s, this guy, Antoine Bovis, this is how the story goes. He was exploring the Great Pyramid, the one in Giza.
Yes. Is there another Great Pyramid?
No, that's the great one.
Yeah.
That's the greatest.
That's the greatest one.
The goat.
It should be called the greatest pyramid then.
The goat.
So he's exploring this pyramid, and as he walks, he's walking around inside, he finds a dead cat and immediately goes to one of the security guards and says, hey, can you get this cat out of here before it starts to stink? And the security guard looks at him and goes, oh no, that cat's been here for a long, long time. Things don't decay inside the pyramid. A light bulb goes off and he goes, whoa, well, pyramids, there's some mystical power of them to keep things fresh. So he starts to do his own experiments with them. He builds these cardboard pyramids.
That's gross and horrifying.
He starts to take meat and fruit and vegetables and he puts them under, and turns out, at least according to him, that they stay fresher longer underneath a pyramid.
This story reminds me of a story that is very near and dear to our hearts, which we just refer to as the dead bird story.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
When we worked, Greg and I at one point were writers for a startup here in Cincinnati called Road Trippers.
Yep.
And every day the Road Trippers team, a lot of us would walk downtown to get lunch. And every single time we would walk downtown, we would walk past a very specific abandoned building that had a window in the front. And in that window was a dead pigeon. And that dead pigeon...
But it never decayed.
It never decayed.
Over years.
Yeah.
It just sat there and it looked perfectly preserved.
Even its creepy little eyeballs.
So maybe we just need like an abandoned furniture store.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a pyramid. There's a mystical energy in an abandoned furniture store.
Yeah, like what are the two... What do those two things have in common?
So what ended up happening with the bird?
So the bird was kind of a obsession for all people who worked at Road Trippers. Someone on the content team started something called a POI, which was something that we would create for Road Trippers all the time, which meant point of interest. And it was just a landing page for a place that you could go visit. And we thought, wouldn't it be funny if we made a POI dedicated to the dead bird because we were so obsessed with the dead bird? And we did that. And what inevitably ended up happening was everyone at Road Trippers would leave comments on it.
We rated it 5 stars.
Yeah.
Everyone left these long, lengthy reviews of the dead bird.
Yes.
So other people in the public are seeing this.
Well, we
on
didn't
the website?
think that was what was going to happen initially.
Well, it turns out the devs had weighted all of our scores higher
so we were
internally.
Just cranking that thing all the way up to the top.
So when people would plan road trips to or through Cincinnati, and they would look for the top-rated POIs, the first thing that would pop up over Cincinnati was a picture of a dead bird.
Yeah, and we got in a lot of trouble for it. So there's your dead bird story, and also apparently there's a portal that connects this building to the pyramids in Giza.
Yeah. We should take this moment to apologize to our old bosses, T and Jim.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Accidentally making the top attraction in Cincinnati a dead bird.
I'm sure that the investors in their company were not particularly happy about the fact that the dead bird was everybody's favorite stop. But
well, for Anton Bovis, the dead cat POI was a big deal.
Yeah.
Such a big deal that he wrote a whole pamphlet about this and all of his experiments that he had performed. There's a problem, though. We have it on screen right now, but it's in French.
It is in French. My French is not good.
We can't read it, so we can't tell you what it says, but some people have translated it for us.
Yes.
This pamphlet is quoted constantly in every piece of Pyramid Power media pretty much that has been released since the 70s.
So they for the most part, they treat this pamphlet almost as if it's the canonical source of Pyramid Power.
It is. This idea, look at that. We got them all. All the Pyramid Power
Pokemon
books. If you're wondering, have anybody actually tested any of this stuff before us? There's a little show, you might remember it, called Mythbusters.
Yeah.
And they did an entire Pyramid Power segment. And they, I think we can all probably guess the conclusion that they came to.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. They didn't actually follow the instructions. They just kind of slapped some pyramids down and put shit in them. And that's not how it's supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so get your shit together, Mythbusters.
Yeah. Let's start a beef.
No, let's not.
Let's start Dana and I are going to start a beef.
They might have more fans than us, but
I also think they're probably way smarter than we are, too.
Whatever.
What makes you say that?
I have a pyramid on my head.
I mean, come on, guys.
Whatever, hater.
So anyway, shout out Mythbusters.
Don't be a hater, Adam Savage.
Adam Savage rules. I think. Anyway,
who knows?
I watch his videos. I think he's pretty smart and cool. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Adam Savage, you should have done a better job with the pyramid.
I don't think I think it was dismissed from the beginning, right? So
they knew what they were going
to
say about it.
It was one of the B stories too when you watch the episode.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think that even he said at one point that was the most embarrassing thing they've ever done on the show.
Really? Oh, because they were just 100%. This is BS from the beginning.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But listen, we're giving it a fair shake today.
Yeah, this is real science over here.
We're real scientists here. We're not scientists. I don't want anyone to think that.
Allegedly.
Anyway, Mythbusters didn't really follow the rules.
Yeah.
So I think what we should do is we should have a little test in the museum. We'll get all the museum members together and we'll do our own Pyramid Power
we'll do it
test
properly?
at home.
Yeah,
we'll see how the food decays.
Yeah.
We'll give it a shot.
Speaking of tests, it is time for the first one.
When the paranormal lurks in every shadow, and each mysterious artifact hides a ghostly tale, one show dares to uncover the truth. The Haunted Objects Podcast. Now you can wear the mystery. Introducing the official Haunted Objects merchandise. Hats, shirts, pins, and more. All designed by independent artists, manufactured by small businesses, and carrying the undeniable essence of the unexplained. Embrace the legend, wear the mystery. Visit planetweird.store today.
Okay.
So it has been enough time that the lemon juice, according to the reports, has been under the pyramid.
All right. What we're going to do,
Are we both?
I'm going to pour you guys some lemon juice that has not been in there, so we
okay.
all know what this tastes like. Okay, here we go.
It's okay if you just wanted to be Dana.
No.
Good try, Connor.
Nice try.
Mine has a seed in it.
Yeah, be careful of those seeds.
If you swallow, you know that if you swallow a lemon seed, a tree will grow inside of your body,
my
and you'll
gosh,
poop it
really?
out. You'll poop it out.
Did you learn that from Antoine Bovis?
I learned it from Adam Savage.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
What do you smell?
Lysol.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
fresh.
right,
It's clean.
fresh. It does smell clean.
Yep.
I don't like the smell of lemons.
One at a time.
No, let's go fast.
Let's go fast. All right.
Are we drinking the whole thing? I'm not drinking the whole thing.
You should do a nice gulp though.
Ready for science.
Oh, it's so much worse than I remember.
All right.
I don't like sour stuff either.
Definitely sour.
Ooh, boy.
Why?
I need some pyramid lemon to cleanse
all right,
clean me out.
Ugh.
So this is the pyramid lemon. So according to the material that we're covering today, sitting under a copper pyramid facing north should make this sweet,
Okay.
palatable.
3, 2, 1. It didn't work.
It did not work.
It's awful. That's really bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay, let's check a no on that one.
Ew.
I'll write it down.
Ugh.
Oh,
That's
gross.
just an unpleasant.
Not good. Well, I did sneak an extra test in here. I got a scratch off, an Ohio scratch off for 500,000, and then I also got a Powerball. The Powerball's drawn tomorrow.
Are you
and
putting it under the pyramid?
I'm going to put it under the pyramid, so I've got room now.
If you win, people will not see this episode.
They'll never see another episode again.
We're all going away.
All right.
We're gonna go buy an island.
Okay, those are there. We will continue testing throughout the episode.
Okay.
I think this is a good point to move on to the facts around
It's
Egypt.
about time we had some facts around here.
We've talked a lot of nonsense or seeming nonsense.
Let's get into some facts, friends.
Let's talk about some facts. Dana, you want to handle the facts about Egypt?
I do. I have notes.
And this isn't going to be a class.
No.
We don't want anyone to think this is going to be a class.
No.
We just need a refresher
Yeah.
in order to get where we're going.
So let's start with the pyramid, the iconic pyramid. Everyone knows what it looks like. We all we recognize. We watched a million history documentaries about it.
There are 3 of them.
Yep.
There's one that's the biggest. That's the
pyramid.
That's the big guy.
Pyramid of Khufu. Khufu took the throne in his early 20s.
Dang.
And that sucker took 30 years to build.
Oh man.
So could you imagine, like, it's your early 20s? Oh, you know what the worst part is now that I think about it too? It's like getting a tattoo in your early 20s. By the time 30 years have gone by, do you still want the same thing?
Yeah. And he's had 10,000 lives at it too.
So many people were building that sucker, and he was like, so you're going to have to be 100% sure, but it took 30 years to build. So Cleopatra, just to give us an idea of timing, right, was born 2,500 years after the Great Pyramid was built.
What?
So this thing is like literally an ancient structure for Cleopatra.
Wow, that is amazing.
Just the idea, like, you have to imagine the amount of time that has gone by while this building has been sitting there is just almost unimaginable.
All right, we might as well address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
We've talked the facts. Now let's talk more speculation.
Yeah.
If you were to ask a lot of modern day conspiracy theorists, people into new age stuff, weird stuff,
Yeah.
if you ask them about the pyramids, they would probably say something about how the aliens built them.
Yes.
That is
I think
largely
guaranteed.
It's largely due to ideas expressed quite a bit on a certain television network that hosts a show called Ancient Aliens. Ancient Aliens is derived largely from a book that came out in 1968 called Chariots of the Gods by a guy named Eric von Daniken. If you're an Ancient Aliens fan, you're very familiar with von Daniken, probably read a bunch of his books. I've never read his books. I've just never really been interested in ancient astronaut theory stuff. The nice thing is we could just tell Connor to read it.
Or better yet, subject Connor to reading.
Sure did.
You read it recently. What did you think?
I can give you just I'll give you the real brief cliff notes because I was honestly a little bit surprised by it.
Really?
I was surprised at how I thought it was gentler than I was expecting.
Well, I mean, if you watch Ancient Aliens, it's pretty extreme stuff.
I can tell you his hypothesis, that is the case that is made throughout the book.
Yeah.
Is that eons ago, before humanity as we know it, extraterrestrials came to Earth and either deposited or crossbred or somehow maybe eliminated the human race and then put something else here, and they sort of like created the Homo sapiens that we are today.
Got it.
And that's like his basic theory. Of course, as part of all of that, you have other things where it's like, and many, many years ago, they built the pyramids, and they did this in Mexico, and this happened in South America. And he goes, it's not just about the pyramids. It is a fair large section of it, but that's sort of what his general hypothesis was. I was surprised by it because honestly, he's kind of like making a case.
Sure.
Almost like a court case where he's like, like chapters 1 through 3 are like, hey, there's extremites on other planets and there's Goldilocks worlds. And then in the middle of the book, you're heading into the Nazca lines are strange. And look at this pictograph from a cave that looks like an astronaut, doesn't it? And wouldn't astronauts of today look like aliens to primitive nations and sort of that theory? And then by the end of the book, you're getting into, this is why I think there was a death ray put on Earth, and this is why, what they placed here, and this is, and by the end of it, you're sort of there, and you see his whole picture come together. The book itself, not that great. I can totally see why all of this stuff bounced. Apparently, he might have gotten some inspiration from different theories. There's even a few sentences by Carl Sagan of what he called paleo contact, just as a general theory, like a few years before von Daniken's book.
Let me ask you this. There's an idea that a lot of those books contain some subtle racism in the idea that, like, ancient cultures could never have built these types of things, which to me always felt kind of weird because we're the same people as we were back then. We have the same brains. We think the same way. They just had less information or different information. So is it really as bad as people claim it is, or did it get bad with stuff like Ancient Aliens?
If you read between the lines, it's pretty bad in terms of like when he comes into like crossbreeding ideas. That's where it's always a little bit of shaky ground. So it's not great if you have the reading comprehension to go between the lines, but nothing is overt.
Yeah.
However,
I think I know where you're going with this.
You know who the co-editor of this book is? Wilhelm Rogestorff. I wrote that name.
That name sounds German.
The name is scary.
He was a bad guy.
A bad guy
and he
from
was
Germany.
In Germany in the 30s and 40s, and you can guess what kind of magazines he was writing for at that time.
Oh, no.
And then he went through and he edited this book. So
that's not good.
Your eyes are kind of already, your flashers are on. Looking for that. So there's that.
You may have impressed some of his ideas and ideology into that book, maybe.
And I figured I'd learn that afterwards, honestly. The thing is, so that's a direct connection with some horrendous stuff. The other thing is von Daniken, while not being as overt, really is not a great guy. He's still alive. He's done a few stints in prison.
Has he really?
For like forgery and fraud.
And that's a fact. We know that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And the most recent one was in Switzerland for a jewelry deal. Right.
Oh my God.
So we're not talking stellar individuals
50
here.
seasons of a TV show.
Yeah.
Give them 50 seasons.
Have they touched on the Nazi problem at all?
Does not
or
appear so.
Oh, that's
It's
too
almost
bad.
like they're making a lot of money off of this. So yeah, there is that. It was published in 1968, same year as Mothman. Kind of
no
interesting.
kidding.
So that was a big year for paranormal generative theories. The book is not, it's his first book about it. His second book he wrote in prison about it. But there's I think 24 total books in like the Gods series.
Wow.
Just went on and on. So, 55 years, maybe there's some interesting ideas in there, but you're going to have to sift through some stuff.
Yeah, and you're also going to have to consider the source material, like where the brains in which it's coming from have a very specific idea, and they have a narrative that they're pushing
right
from the drop.
Well,
really.
We're not going to talk much about ancient aliens and ancient astronaut theory today.
Yeah.
It's just, if we're talking about pyramids, we have to.
Yeah, we could spend an entire episode, obviously, talking about that. And maybe we will at some point, because it is something that I think needs to be talked about pretty openly. And I think there's a lot of information to go through, but it is enough that it deserves an entire episode dedicated to it. So
all right, we'll come back to that. We'll talk more about Von Daniken and Chariots of the Gods.
But it was important to touch on, at least for a moment.
I think there's a lot of people in the modern day who have they've received the trickle down effect of those books through Ancient Aliens and History Channel.
Yeah, and that information is left out of the conversation a lot of the time. So it's important to put it back in so that people can just make up their own minds about that.
All right. Let's stop talking about that shit. I hate
that's
Ancient
fine.
Aliens crap.
That's fine.
Boo.
It is time for another test.
Okay.
Is this one better than drinking lemon juice?
Well, so this is a test that I know you guys don't want to do with me because you're not scientists like I am.
Oh.
I have not smoked a cigarette since I was 8 years old. I threw up, and I'm the only one who wants to do this. I wanted to do this in the studio.
Was that your one and only cigarette that you smoked at 8 years old?
That was it.
So at 8, you were just like, I'm going to try this.
Well, of course, I was 8. My friend Walter, he had a couple.
Is young, dude.
I don't know. When do you start experimenting with cigarettes? When did you have your first cigarette?
When I was 14.
I beat you.
I guess so.
Well, it didn't go well. I didn't like it. I wanted to smoke them in here, but you guys aren't going to let me.
No.
So
It's almost like there's museum quality artifacts all around.
Data's like,
all around
if people
us.
get Magic of the Month and it smells like menthol cigarettes, they're going to make assumptions. So I'm going to do this in the garage.
Okay.
So
where all menthol cigarettes should be smoked.
Yeah, let's go see.
Let's go stand in the garage, and I'll smoke my first cigarette in like over 30 years. I can't do math. This is not been under a pyramid. This is fresh out of a pack of menthol cigarettes. It's pretty smooth, honestly. It's actually not bad. Don't smoke. Taking a few minutes, try to clear out the taste. This is, you can see I've marked it with a little pyramid. This is the one that has charged underneath the pyramid. Now, according to Pyridine, it's supposed to make this much smoother, and it's supposed to get rid of the taste of menthol.
You're not supposed to enjoy it.
I feel pretty calm. This is better.
No, it's not.
Okay. Why do people smoke?
Why do they smoke?
Yeah.
Just fucking awesome. It'll make you look cool.
Did I look cool?
Yeah.
Oh.
You did not look cool. Although a part of you looked like you kind of liked it.
Here's the thing.
Was that the part of that he kept saying out loud?
Yeah.
All I can
Despite
say.
his body's revulsion.
Yeah, like your lungs were like dying, and you're like, it's not that bad.
We cut that part out.
No, we're gonna add all of the parts.
Here's the thing. It wasn't as bad as I remember it, but then again, I was 8, and I did throw up out of my nose. So
yeah.
It was all right.
All right.
But don't do it. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's really bad. I also should say I didn't really notice a difference between the two. I didn't taste the menthol as much with the one under the pyramid, but I think it's because I already
You had it in your mouth already.
had it in my mouth already.
Yeah.
All right. 0 for 2. Writing it down.
That's unfortunate.
I am interested personally in, do you remember Chris Angel's levitation over the Luxor pyramid?
I do.
That's my best pyramid memory.
I don't have any memory of this. I can't believe it.
He floated in the light above the pyramid, and his
What a
hands went like
magic
this.
Man.
Was that a big moment for the Brotherhood?
Yeah, big moment for all of us in the Brotherhood.
It's cool. He's
We
cool.
worked on it for months.
Can you tell us how it's done?
Helicopters.
I don't know.
He levitated.
I think it was pyramid power.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, never mind.
It was the
That was
magnetic
cool,
field.
right?
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's some ideas about newer ideas about what the pyramids were used for. There's a guy by the name of Chris Dunn, and Chris Dunn,
Not Chris Angel?
not Chris Angel. Speaking of Chris's,
Yeah.
and he's been going around talking about how
He's been going around.
I don't know what his deal is. I don't really know if he has like any credentials or anything.
They usually don't.
But he has been on the Joe Rogan show.
They usually don't.
Talking about how the pyramids may have been ancient like power generators, and I don't know, it's something about it's gobbledygook.
No, it's kind of, well, it is. But what it is he's saying there, there's a couple of interesting things about the Great Pyramid, right? And Dana will back me up on this. Number one, there's no hieroglyphics inside.
Yes, that was
Okay, that's interesting.
It is.
That's
I
odd.
think it's a really strange and interesting detail because when you look at like all other Egyptian places that are still left that we can kind of go and explore, they're covered in like hieroglyphics and color, and like you have this building that is basically just completely blank on the inside, which is very weird.
There's nothing
weird.
on the walls.
Yeah.
It looks like a Costco storeroom.
Yeah, it does.
yeah, it
like
does.
the way it is, and you could fit. You can't even fit a credit card through the crevices. Like it's phenomenally created. But that's the first interesting thing that people point out. The second thing that they point out is there was never a body found.
That's true. It was an empty sarcophagus.
Technically, inside the sarcophagus, and the sarcophagus is too big to fit in the chute that
Yeah.
walks up to
Okay.
it too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Who really knows? But that's what he's saying is, yeah, historians believe that probably the body was just stolen. And that's why it was empty when the pyramid was open in like the 1800s. But
No, it was a power plant.
that potentially was about. So what he writes about is like, this chute is long enough for static electricity to generate here, and the Queen's chamber is located here because the magnetic resonance is connected here. And basically, he envisions the pyramid as a giant, ancient Wi-Fi type tower for energy.
Okay, that's cool.
And the obelisks are antennas.
Oh, that's what the obelisks are.
Yeah.
So they're sending that you have like the big honker, and then it's sending energy
Yeah.
to the other ones.
Yeah, electricity, possibly.
Electricity.
Okay,
Okay, I mean it's interesting.
sure. I mean, it's interesting.
I think that's cool because that gives a lot more credit to the ancient Egyptians being smart, you know what I mean, than aliens or whatever.
Yeah, chemical reactions and stuff like that. So that's what his deal is. The whole nother camp is beginning to form around that idea.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
I think I've seen some videos about this. I think Carl was actually talking to me about this not too long ago. That's a neat idea. That's not as silly as I thought it might have been before this episode. And if it is silly, it's a fun silly.
Yeah.
There's some other ideas about what the pyramids could have been. One of them is that they are much, much older than archaeologists believe. There's a theory called the Orion mystery, And it's the idea that if you actually take a look at the alignment of the Orion stars, the pyramids, the 3 pyramid points, line up perfectly with them 13,500 years ago.
Okay.
That's a long-ass time ago.
Yeah.
So kind of strange.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when we talk about how the pyramids are ancient already.
Yeah.
And you talk about Cleopatra and how, like, they were ancient for her. Dude, this was twice as long.
Yeah.
So that idea is that they were there.
Yeah.
They were aligned to the Orion stars.
Sure.
And the Egyptians just found them.
Yeah.
That, I think, is
so
kind
they
of
stumbled
interesting.
across them, like, in the middle of the desert?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, to be fair, though, there are a lot of other cultures that have built, like, Neolithic places that are in alignment with the stars and with the planets and all that kind of good stuff. So,
See, that one doesn't sound so hard to believe to me.
yeah, like, I mean, I think Stonehenge is a good example where people still don't even really understand what was going on there exactly.
Sure.
But one day they happen to realize that, oh, wait, it's a solstice. Look what that sun's doing.
yeah.
Like, so we have examples of, you know, many of our ancestors knowing things about the stars and the planets and they advanced understanding of a lot of those things.
So I think that's pretty cool. The idea that when they look at the astronomy, they can see that somehow those points line up perfectly with Orion.
Yeah.
13,500 years ago.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So wild that maybe we should put our skeptic hats on for just a second.
We have finally, we did it.
Hey, we did it. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Actual skeptic hats. Available now, limited edition, planetweird.tv if you want to get your own. Look at how slick these look.
We actually
made skeptic hats.
Do I look cool? Do I need a cigarette?
You don't need a cigarette for these.
Yeah.
Because it's cool to
are
be
you
skeptical.
a smoker? If you need to quit smoking, if you need something to make you look cool instead of cigarettes, get this hat.
Get this hat. This hat.
And
will,
you'll look cool as shit.
stop promoting cigarettes.
We're just
I'm
kidding.
promoting hats.
Promote the hat.
Yeah. Promoting a hat.
Well, I'm glad that we now have actual literal skeptic hats that we can put on.
Yeah.
Nice, embroidered, good quality, made right here in the good old US of A by small artists and small print shop.
Yeah.
Love
nice.
it. So get one. Planetweird.tv.
Get one.
Get two.
Do you have a skeptic in your life that needs a cool piece of clothing to show off that they have a big old brain in their big old heads?
Babu.
Get them one of those.
All right, while our skeptic hats are on, I'll be a bummer about the Orion mystery for a second and say that if you believe in carbon dating, radiocarbon dating.
Yeah. If you believe in that.
If you believe.
If you're one of those guys.
If you're one of those guys, those dorks who believe.
They found out that the radiocarbon dates to about 4,600 to 4,800 years ago, about the time of Khufu.
Yeah.
So
it's lining up like the stars, baby.
That's true.
That's probably just the answer.
Yeah. Should have kept Occam's razor underneath a
Oh, shit. That's a good one.
So anyway, yeah, that's probably not real.
Yeah.
The Orion mystery's cool, but
You know what sticks in my mind about ancient Egypt in today's world?
Huh.
Obelisks.
Yeah, you talk about obelisks a lot.
You kind of have a thing for
I'm on a
obelisks.
thing. Well,
Is it a hyperfixation right now?
No, it's just that I feel like I'm the only one who notices them all the time. You ever like any?
Should we get the psychologist on that one
Maybe
too?
it's-
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think I can answer that one for you.
It's because if you go to as many city halls and state capitals as I do,
Connor's he can spot an obelisk.
You start to notice, like, you make enough trips to DC. It's, first of all, the hugest monument, like, in America.
Yeah.
But also, virtually all state capitals have them out front as well. And I've been around to several of them, and I've always like, why is there a giant obelisk on the front lawn? Yeah. It's the case in Colorado. It's the case in various other states, and it's also on many city halls as well. So anyway, obelisks are weird. Still a symbol. They believe it was a symbol of, like, navigation. It was a placement marker. It's a very symbolic phallic symbol if you get into sort of the meaning of it as well. But
it has a little pyramid at the top of most of them.
It's basically a tower with a pyramid on it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, literally.
And
yeah.
People should tell me that I'm not crazy and there are obelisks in towns across America.
They're all over the
They are.
place.
If you're listening, we want to hear about your local hometown obelisk.
Yeah,
Send them directly to Connor at weirdhq.com.
Especially if it has hieroglyphics on it.
Yeah,
okay.
tag us on Instagram and we'll share your obelisk.
Yes.
They were mostly like propaganda machines back in the day. Apparently.
Oh, that makes sense.
They
yeah.
spoke a lot about what the Pharaoh was doing for the people. And such.
Got it.
So it was like basically a big town, like
It was a billboard.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so funny. Interesting.
There's only like 30 of them that they found in ancient Egypt is what I read. And several of them are just placed in centers around the world now.
Wow.
France and the Vatican and places like that.
So they stole them.
Yep,
Maybe.
they did.
You know what? It's time to get into the 70s.
Oh, no.
So it's time to take these skeptic hats off and put our pyramids back on.
Put our chest hair hats on.
I'll put it back on as I deem fit.
Fair enough. All right, we got the pyramids back on our heads.
Yep.
It's time to go back to the 70s.
Thank God.
You love the 70s, don't you?
I do.
What do you love about the 70s the most?
Everything. I don't know. There's too much. Everything.
You love the music.
I
You love the fashion.
Give me a drop. Living room. I want a conversation pit. I want shag carpeting.
Colors.
Normalized alcoholism. No, I don't want that.
Smoking indoors.
Smoking indoors.
Should have let me. You should have let me do it.
Chest hair.
Chest hair. Mullets.
Yeah. Pyramids.
Handlebar mustaches.
Led Zeppelin.
Pyramids. A Led
Pyramids.
Zeppelin to pyramids is a great,
great.
great cross there.
Well, pyramid power went bonkers in the 70s.
Big shocker.
I think there's a lot of reasons. The aesthetic works. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at this stuff like this thing here is it's very quite aesthetic. It actually sits in our living room normally.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's actually doing anything.
It is.
there.
It's generating coolness.
The power of coolness.
Yeah. The power of the 70s.
So after Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain comes out and everybody starts reading about the pyramids keeping razor blades sharp,
Yeah.
it started getting some Western attention.
Yeah.
And there was one guy in particular who thought this was so cool, he wanted to go and meet these people for himself.
Yeah.
So this guy actually went and met Carol Durbel in person
Yeah.
to talk to them about pyramid power. This guy ended up writing a book titled Pyramid Power. That's where we get this from.
No,
I said that too many times.
Nobody had an original title like at all. Everybody's book is just called Pyramid
It's
Power.
true. It's true.
It's so funny.
It's like flower power.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's such a
flower power.
generic,
Same
hilarious
kind of deal.
thing.
This guy's name was Max Toth.
That's a cool name. Very
Especially
cool
when you're
name.
talking about pyramids. 'Cause
Yeah.
it sounds like the
Thoth.
Egyptian god Thoth.
Yeah.
So Max Toth, he goes to Czechoslovakia to meet with this guy
Mm-hmm.
and learn the secrets of pyramid power. And when he gets back, he writes an entire book about this and he puts it out and it's an instant hit. This is another book that you read, Connor.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I liked it. I thought it was well done. The first half was very much a here's some stuff about the Great Pyramids. Here's really historical facts about it. Here's facts about some other pyramids in general in the world. This is why they seem to be kind of interesting. This is what they were possibly historically used for. Here's some weird theories about them. And then the second half is kind of like a how-to. How to build different models of pyramids for your home. Where to put pyramids, how to face them, how to measure things out. Try this, try that, try sitting in it and doing this, try sitting in it and doing it. And so very much a comprehensive guide for people in that time period. Yeah.
Is this, of all the books, is this one the most popular?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I think
the
that
one-
is easily.
All right. That's interesting.
Supposedly it's on the table on the in the insert of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, no
Oh,
kidding.
okay.
Yeah.
You told us that there's a particular chapter that you thought was really interesting in Pyramid Power. And it kind of goes over some of the other alternate theories about the pyramids.
Yeah, he has a section where he discusses this is, who knows, alternate theories. Maybe they were built by the Atlanteans. Maybe it was a library where they stored all their parchments. Maybe it was an energy center. Maybe it was a maze. Maybe it had to do with astrology. Or maybe, and he presents some ideas that he's heard from other people. One of the other people is Max Freedom Long that he references.
If you're a hardcore Hellier head, you will know why that is important. If you're not, I'll just tell you, that name is involved from the very beginning of Hellier. We haven't directly covered it yet. Maybe that's a Hellier 3 thing. But if you know where to look, Max Freedom Long is a name that is involved in the Hellier case.
And then he gets into that whole idea that maybe it was used as an instructional magic chamber or some sort of ritual rite.
I love this idea.
As well. And he got these ideas from some other people, but he summarizes it really well. He says, the Great Pyramid is thought by Hall to be the first temple of the mysteries, the first structure to serve as a repository for the secret truths, which are the certain foundation of all arts and sciences. Hall believes that the initiator, or the illustrious one, dressed in a blue and gold robe, carrying in his hand a sevenfold key of eternity, dwelt in the depths of the pyramid. Men entered the portals of the Great Pyramid, emerged as gods, and became the illuminated of antiquity. The drama of the second death would be acted out in the king's chamber, where the candidate or initiate would be symbolically crucified and buried in the sarcophagus. Now, that the king's chamber, remember, is the room that's basically the biggest room inside the Great Pyramid, and it's just kind of sitting there empty. There's nothing in it except for that empty sarcophagus. That immediately reminded me of the Oddfellows.
Yeah.
Wow, they used to do that. A lot of secret societies did. They did a rebirth ritual through death.
The other thing that you'll notice if you watch videos of the Great Pyramid, you have to crawl to get into the grand
you've got to
room.
go through a little hole.
And that reminds me of Freemason rituals.
Yeah.
Which, there's a lot of ideas that maybe they pulled some of these rituals from the ancient Egyptians. But again, that's speculation.
Yeah.
But this is interesting.
It is very interesting.
Max Toth then goes on to say, this ritual would allow the initiate to experience the room as a doorway between the material world and the transcendental spheres of nature. Part of the ritual was to strike the sarcophagus, producing a tone which has no counterpart in any known musical scale. After completion of the secret rites, the neophyte was reborn or experienced a second birth and consequently experienced and gained all of the knowledge of the world. Hall feels that the secret room in the House of the Hidden Places will be rediscovered one day. This belief is shared by many mystics and psychics. There are several predictions each new year by reputable psychics who claim that this room will be found and that untold knowledge will once again be available to those who can understand the secrets that are hidden inside.
Oh, so
cool.
That's so cool.
A part of the ritual rites, they believe, had to do with a secret room that didn't quite fit the narrative at the time. Well,
I love this part of the story.
While prepping, we put on YouTube videos of the topic that we're going to be discussing. And as the algorithm goes through, one came on that really flagged my ear.
Yeah, just a little.
Because guess what? Very recently,
like 6 months ago,
they found the room.
The one the psychics had predicted.
The secret room is there in the chamber, and this was written in 1974, and nobody knew that.
This is Lemuria all over again.
So, Edgar Casey and Hall and these psychics are predicting there will be another room found in the Great Pyramid one day.
And they just found it.
It's incredible. And the room itself is also potentially not the only room. It is a corridor. It looks like a corridor.
Yeah.
That could potentially go under. There could be a room underneath it. They don't really know at this point.
So what happened was in 2017, this Japanese firm came in and they were doing these non-invasive scans with different, technologies that shoot through materials to try and map out the pyramid. And they realized that there was a big blank space. Man. And they were like, what is that?
That's so cool.
Sort of near the entrance of it. And just recently, they figured out a way to get a little tiny pinhole camera through just the right rock to go in through it. And they got the first glimpse of what they believe is the antechamber, not necessarily the entire room itself. They think that there's something below it.
Yeah.
In this room.
So it's big.
You can stand in it. It's a big, long hallway.
It's 30 feet long.
So potentially the same size as the Great Hall.
30 meters long. Yeah.
Dang, that's huge. So it's a proper room.
So what they say, this is from Nature magazine. All 3 teams observed a large, unexpected void in the same location above the Grand Gallery. These results were reported in Nature on the 1st and 2nd of November. The space is 30 meters long with a similar cross-section to the Grand Gallery. It was a big surprise, says Tayubi. We are really excited. The chamber could either be horizontal or inclined, the researchers say, and might be made up of 2 or more smaller spaces. The purpose of the space is unknown, but Tayubi suggests that it could be a second Grand Gallery. And as the Scanned Pyramids Committee said, there's a great possibility the tunnel is protecting something. In my opinion, it is protecting the actual burial chamber of King Khufu.
So that could explain why there was never a body.
There was never a body, or the riches.
Yeah, or even, I don't know, there was nothing written on the walls. There was nothing, maybe that was used for something very different.
So we're going to potentially figure this out in our lifetimes.
That's so cool.
Still a mystery.
Yeah, and the psychics were right.
The psychics were right.
There you go. Psychic ability is a real thing. Definitively.
Crazy. I love that so much.
The thing is, nobody can prove that that's not what it was for.
Right.
Nobody can prove that that's what it was for, though.
Sure.
So it's tough, but it's an empty room in a weird place with weird factors around it. Yeah.
It's time for another experiment. Are you guys ready for another one?
Yeah. The pyramid's got to fix one of these things.
So we're 0 for 2, right?
We are 0 for 2 so far.
Poop.
Didn't really notice much with the cigarette.
Yeah.
The lime juice is still horrible.
Yeah, it was lemon juice, but
Well, we still have this disgusting vodka that has been sitting under here since the start of the show. So I think that there's only one way to really do this test. We all got to take a normal shot of the vodka. And then we'll take one of the stuff that's been sitting under the pyramid. We'll see if it's more palatable. You ready? All right. Well, cheers, everybody.
Pyramids up, friends.
1, 2, 3.
Paint thinner.
Oh, boy.
That's
Tastes
horrible.
Real bad.
Ugh.
This is poisonous. Ugh.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's just everything about it is disgusting.
Feels like something I'm not supposed to drink.
You're not.
You're not. It's poison.
You're supposed to peel wallpaper off your 700-year-old farmhouse with this. Not put it in your physical body.
It's so warm.
It does feel good when it's
It does when
warm
it gets to the in your chest. Ooh.
It makes me think of those little dogs that run around out there.
Yeah. Wait, what?
St. Bernards.
Oh yeah, right.
I guess they're not little. They're pretty big.
What
right?
are you talking about?
Those little dogs are running around out
a
there.
little dog running around.
Listen, in the tundra of Canada.
Dana's already drunk. All right. We don't really drink.
I'm not drinking any more of that. That's
Good thing the rest of it is going to be fixed by the pyramid.
That's true.
yeah.
My teeth feel weird.
It smells like paint thinner. My burps smell like a Home Depot right now.
You know what? I gotta say, this really makes me want a cigarette.
No!
All right, you ready to try the one that was inside the pyramid?
Yeah.
This thing's been in there for an hour and a half at least,
Yeah.
so it should be very sweet.
It's gonna go down like water,
Yep.
like butter, like drinking butter.
to Khufu.
To Khufu.
Oh no!
Why is it not as bad?
Connor, tell us we're not going crazy.
It's not as bad.
Why?
That is
Why?
nuts.
Why?
That's got to be a fluke, right?
It's got to be psychosomatic. We have to be doing this.
I don't know.
ourselves.
That was so smooth.
Yeah, but we took a shot a second ago. The whole thing is we need to take the pyramid one first.
Does the second shot always go down easier?
Yeah, because you're drunk. You're a little. You've got
know,
booze in your
man.
system.
That was buttery. It tasted a little more
it just
buttery.
tasted like water. It doesn't smell better. I can tell you that.
It might be all in my head, but that tastes better.
It definitely does. It's still not good.
It's not good, but it's better. I don't know, man. That's a little weird.
We'll do it blind. Let's do it blind in the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll do
Yes.
these tests again in the museum.
Yeah.
If you're not a museum member, you can join the museum, patreon.com/paramuseum.
Join us.
We do all kinds of fun experiments like this around all kinds of different paranormal oddities.
You get to drink alcohol.
Well, you can do that anytime you want. You're an adult.
You can?
If you're an adult, yeah.
Oh.
We do experiments like this all the time in the museum. They don't always involve alcohol, but if you want to join into some of these pyramid power experiments, visit patreon.com/paramuseum. Not only do you get to take part in experiments like that, we have monthly live streams, and there's a brand new show. If you want Haunted Objects podcast in your ears every week, as people have been demanding, join the Patreon, join the museum. You'll get a special bonus show.
Get the museum member show.
And it's great. We expand on what we've talked about in each one of the episodes.
We do strange experiments with food.
And we answer your questions. That's a perfect opportunity to ask a bunch of people who have been doing this a long time. We'll give you our honest opinions about stuff.
Yep.
And we'll yap at you for a little bit longer.
Greg's been a bad influence this episode.
What are you talking about?
Look at all the stuff you're making us do.
I know.
I'm not making you do it.
Smoking cigarettes.
I do fun games. And you're like, some cigarettes and some booze and some...
I'm going to post this. We're going to have an image, and I'm going to show you all of the different experiments that are in this Pyridine Systems.
Yeah. It's because it was written in the
document.
60s when this was what only people did.
These are legitimate
cigarettes.
Science.
One of my favorite things about that I've seen him do, that he's like a bad influence on kids, or like a funniest when you flip kids off in a restaurant.
You're gonna tell people this secret.
It's so
one
funny.
of my favorite things to do is I love this. Here's the thing: if you're an adult,
a childless adult,
this is very funny to do. If you're in a store, you know how kids do that thing where they just stare at you. They got that like slack-jawed stare that they give you.
Thousand-yard stare.
I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it. Maybe I look funny. But
probably.
If I notice a kid staring at me, I'll give them one of those "what's ups," and then I'll go like this. I'll just like give them the middle finger, and they go. They like pull on their mom's arm, and then I walk away.
What?
I'm telling you, you can't have more fun in a grocery store than giving children the middle finger. Just try it sometime. I promise.
It sounds kind of fun to me.
It's hilarious. It's totally harmless. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Except the child.
No, it doesn't hurt the child.
But you're in their head. What? You're in their head.
Forever.
For a long time.
Yeah, you're literally in there forever.
One time this dude just gave me the middle finger at the store, and they started laughing and walked away.
Strange gray hair.
My mom didn't believe me.
You're a monster.
We're going on the road.
Woo woo!
Our all-new Haunted Objects live tour is haunting 30 cities across the country, and we aren't just sharing never-before-seen evidence from our spookiest case files. We're asking you for your help in our craziest paranormal experiment yet.
Come and learn why the infamous Dybbuk box is scarier than the demon it's rumored to imprison.
Tag along with us as we reveal how we broke the curse of the Catskills crone.
And learn the shocking truth about ghosts with an experiment that you'll never forget.
Plus, VIP ticket holders get a very special induction into our very real and very serious secret society.
The Sacred Order of the Haunted Object.
All this and more surprises await you when Haunted Objects Live comes to your town.
But don't wait too long, because tickets are already starting to sell out, and we're not taking this show on the road again.
Visit newkirktour.com for tickets and dates, and we'll see
you on... You gotta wait for me.
You came in like half a second. And we'll see you on the road.
Well, speaking of going to the grocery store, because I am a serious scientist.
Yeah.
I decided to spend a day wearing my headgear out doing errands.
Yeah.
And, I went to the grocery store when I bought the lemons.
Yeah.
I bought all the lemons that we drank. I did that. I got a burrito. Mm-hmm. You know, the thing that I have to say is...
It's just a normal day getting onions, getting lemons and burritos.
Yeah, I got a burrito, did some tests with the driving. Did I drive better with the headgear on?
No.
No. At golf or in a car?
Oh, that's true. Oh, because we did both. That's true. It did not improve my golf game.
Yeah.
You were pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what?
It was pretty bad.
This is also coming from someone who's very bad at it, but you were extra bad.
I mean, if you're watching the video podcast, we'll have clips of this playing as we talk about this.
Yes.
It did not improve my golf game.
No.
But then again, I've never golfed before.
Yeah, so you don't know. Maybe it did improve your golf game.
So I don't know. Maybe
it could have improved your golf game because maybe you don't know how absolutely dog shit you are at golfing.
Connor should have taken us bowling instead of going to Topgolf.
It's true.
Because then I could have actually known because I'm a decent bowler.
But see, here's the thing. You're a scientist, which means that you need to do this experiment many times. So you're going to have to maybe try something different.
Connor's over there going like, oh, yeah, we're going back to Topgolf.
It'd be hilarious. We should do go-kart.
Oh, my God.
We should do go-kart racing.
And one with it on.
It's not as embarrassing as you might think. And it's, everyone's smiling at you constantly.
Yeah.
Everyone is just looking at you smiling. It's hard not to be in a good mood.
It's really not that embarrassing.
Makes you feel pretty powerful, I'll tell you.
Wow.
Because you can't really give a shit about anything else when you got a copper pyramid on your head.
I mean, I guess that's true. It is like the ultimate in humility. Like you just, at this point, you might as well just be a big goofball because what does it matter? There's a giant copper pyramid on the top of your head.
The only person who asked me about it was the guy at the corner store when I went in to go buy the Powerball.
Yeah, and the cigarettes.
And the cigarettes. He said, he goes, all right, I got to ask. And I go, about what?
You're such an idiot.
And he goes,
oh my God.
The thing on your head. And I was like, oh, this thing?
You played dumb too. That
and
guy
I was like,
oh,
I'm just aligning my chakras. And he went, what? And then the guy, the other guy is like, oh, I was way wrong. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, I thought you were wearing it to like improve your balance or something. And I went, guess what? It does that.
It does that too.
It does.
And then he went, well, what is it? What does it do? And I was like, whatever you want it to. It's a pyramid, man. Mm-hmm. And then I grabbed my stuff and I left.
And you ran out of there really fast.
Yeah. Probably on
and he
TikTok.
went, who was that man? You're definitely on TikTok right now.
There were a lot of people laughing, smiling at me.
Yeah, just assume that you're the highlight of many a TikTok video and Snapchat right now.
That's fine.
It's not that embarrassing. It's not that embarrassing at all.
Okay. So we've talked about the most popular Pyramid Power book by Max Toth. But guess what? Max Toth had a nemesis. And this nemesis published a book titled Pyramid Power a year before him.
So is this the 17 people have all written a book with the same title?
And they're all mad at each other.
Yeah.
They're all taking each other out of context.
I have the best pyramid power.
This was a guy by the name of Patrick Flanagan.
Patrick Flanagan also, one of the things I have noticed, and I think I mentioned it earlier, is that as we've gone down the list of people, the names have gone from weirdest to most normal.
That's true. They only get more normal.
Yeah. Every day I'm getting more normal. More normal every day.
Normal every day. Patrick Flanagan actually called Max Toth up after his book came out and was like, you mother... I already wrote this book.
Yeah.
Flanagan got in a year ahead.
Yeah.
And published his book in 73.
And he sniped him?
But nobody cared. And then Max Toth's came out and it blew up.
Yeah, because he has a cooler name.
So he got a little bit of runoff. Flanagan got some runoff.
Yeah.
And then they realized, well, there's not really much they can do because they can't sue each other. You can't copyright a title. The books are different enough.
Yeah.
That they decided, you know what? We're more powerful if we combine forces.
This is a beautiful story of like two arch enemies who come together to realize that they're stronger when united.
It's true.
And they probably sat under a pyramid together and went, we need to unite.
Flanagan calls Toth up.
Yeah.
And he apologizes. And he's like, you know what? This would be better if we work together.
Yeah.
And so they started planning trips where they would take groups of people over to the pyramids for a 15-day adventure.
That sounds like literal hell
nightmare.
On Earth. I can't imagine anything worse in my entire life.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, 2 weeks.
You got to take them out there?
They took them out. They called it Flanagan and Toth.
Could have had a cooler name than that.
I know. They did it one time.
Yeah.
They only did it one time.
Yeah.
But Toth ended up doing his own tours. He did a few more of those. But the beef was squashed.
That's good.
There was no beef anymore. We're going to talk about some pretty wild ideas that Flanagan had.
Yeah.
But before we do that, we need to stress that this guy was a legitimate scientist. He was actually a very smart guy. So smart, in fact, that he was featured in an old Life magazine.
Yeah.
about one of his inventions called the neurophone when he was 17.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool.
It's basically an early form of like bone induction audio.
Yeah, it makes me think of the old Google Glass headsets.
Yes.
They were glasses, I think. Obviously, Google Glass. I'm drunk now. I can't even talk anymore.
The power of the pyramids, baby.
The Google Glass had the thing that you like could hear stuff in your head with.
Yeah, it's bone induction stuff. What happens is it instead of like having like typical stereo audio, what it does is it creates a vibration in the bones in your head.
Hate it.
That go to your ears, and so you can actually hear stuff in your head.
Yeah, I don't like that.
He created a version of that when he was 17 and was listed as one of the 100 most promising young scientists by Life magazine. We actually have the issue on screen.
It's great.
Right now, and he's in there.
There he is. I like that they were like, do something sciencey, and he was like, I'm going to stand on my head.
Stand on his head. Yeah.
Very smart guy.
Very then went on to do some consultant work, allegedly.
Yeah, he did some like government consultant work, and he built a bunch of devices, different things that did all kinds of wild stuff. That got kind of crazier as it went.
Yeah. Was he not a tank top aficionado?
Was he?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of photos of him in tank tops.
In the 80s and the 90s, he was rocking that tank top all day long. Purple tank tops.
Look at that guy.
Can we get a pan down to those bell bottoms there, Con?
Wow.
Whoa! This guy looks exactly like how I want to look in real life. I want to have that
Flanagan's,
coolness.
He looks great.
That's so good.
Is he still around?
No.
He passed away?
No.
Recently.
Well, R.I.P. Patrick
Shout
Flanagan.
out. Yeah. Hope you're wearing tank top in heaven. Or wherever you are.
So Patrick Flanagan.
Yeah.
He very big into pyramid power. He actually
Clearly.
He really is marketing this shit like crazy.
Yeah.
Like he had ads in magazines all across the country for a couple years selling pyramids, but he also made another thing called it's a pyramid medallion, the pyramid power sensor.
Do you mean this one?
The one you're wearing right now.
That I'm never taking off again?
His quote about what these things do, these medallions, and this thing's big. This is like a big old 70s.
Besides look bitchin' as shit.
It is pretty cool. It's got like Fibonacci sequences on it.
Yeah.
It's got hieroglyphics on it.
I'm literally never taking it off.
Well,
I'm obsessed. Look, like I said earlier before we started recording, I cannot not even imagine the amount of chest hair this thing has been nestled in for like just in there.
For sure.
It's been a part of orgies. We know.
It definitely has.
It's definitely like
that thing was swinging in a lot of babes' faces.
Yeah, just
yep, for sure.
Absolutely. I'll never take it off. It's my favorite thing that you've ever given to me.
They are made out of bronze and they are plated in gold. They were highly polished, and the precision is like they have a concave and a concave curve that's a perfect golden ratio. This projects a column of pyramid energy, not only out, but inward. And when you're in balance, you can have your heart's desire because you're in a space where you're connected to the universe. So when you're wearing these, be careful what you wish for because it'll happen.
I wish for
this scratch-off ticket
that
to be
scratch-off
worth a shitload
ticket
of money.
Yep, that's what I wish for.
Or the Powerball to win.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Well, that's our next experiment. So wish really hard, and that'll happen.
Okay.
Flanagan actually had a ton of newspapers advertising this stuff. We have one on the screen right now. This is one of the advertisements for these.
Bold claims on this one, by the way.
It reads, "New pyramid power medallion may be a bigger rage than Farrah Fawcett or hula hoops."
Not possible.
Can you imagine when that came out? He said that it has an authentic perenniagram at its heart with a halo of concentric waves of diamond shapes struck on the bronze disc, each resonant to an electromagnetic frequency. Rimming them are authentic Egyptian hieroglyphics of power. Mm-hmm. And it's true. If you look at the one around your neck, it has a bunch of hieroglyphics around it.
It does.
We can't read those, so I'm going to post a photo of those in the show notes.
Yep.
And if there's anyone here who's listening who is an Egyptologist and you can read those, I want to know what it says.
Yep.
I don't know what it says.
Brings you mental energy, physical energy, sexual energy from the mysterious powers of the pyramid.
Is it working?
Yep.
You got a lot of sexual energy going on?
I have all the energies.
Yes.
It's all half. It's all happening.
Yes. Well, these things cost $12.95 when they came out.
And they cost.
Well, you could save $3 if you used a mail-in coupon. So you could get this for about $10, a little under $10.
Okay.
But if you look for this now on eBay, you're gonna pay like $1,000 for these.
Greg did not pay $1,000.
I want to continuously state that I'm pretty good at finding artifacts for the museum.
Yeah.
That is not worth $1,000.
It's definitely not gold-plated either. I can promise you that.
We should have cleaned that thing up.
It stinks.
Or is it cooler because it's not cleaned
I think
up?
it's cooler.
Well, you didn't have to wear it. You could put it under your pillow. You can just carry it in your pocket. The idea is that it creates resonance that will bring you your wishes.
Done.
So there you go.
Always. It's going to be on me forever now.
Let me tell you, I tried to read his book as well.
Oh, no.
It is hard to read.
Yeah.
Even though it isn't that ventilated prose, that broken text that stops at the end of the page.
Does it make it harder?
I know. It's just the content. I don't understand what he's saying.
What is it like? Is it like pseudo?
Can we get a clip here?
I wrote a clip. A magnetic field may be superimposed transversely in any direction upon an electrostatic field without interfering with the latter. An example of the transverse field effect is demonstrated in pyramid power. In this case, there is a shaped electrostatic field due to the structure of the pyramid and the action of the Earth's magnetic field on the resultant shaped ether flow. The result of these effects would be the formation of a rather large ether vortex in the pyramid. This ether vortex casts some interesting probabilities on possible interplanetary travel. And he says stuff like that. He also says that it turned his poodle vegetarian.
Cool.
The ether vortex sounds like a bad guy from Stranger Things.
Yeah,
it does.
You gotta go to the ether vortex.
In the ether.
Awesome.
Anyway, very difficult to read, very scientific guy. Different than Max Toth. So
do you
it's
think
interesting that they did that the same year?
Actually scientific, or do you think he was just like making that stuff up?
I don't know. I think he got to a point because he, like we were saying, he was really an inventor in real life, and he really did have some contracts and stuff like that. But it seems as though he got to a point where it just.
Do you think
he was just lost in the sauce?
Yeah, just lost in the sauce. That makes sense.
Let's talk about pyramid power trends in the 70s. The 70s is when this stuff is all happening.
Yeah.
Toth, Flanagan, they're going bonk.
Yep.
So were the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Canada.
They actually used some pyramid power to increase their chances of winning their games. And guess what?
It worked.
They think it worked. What happened was the coach's wife was into pyramid power, told him about it, and he started to hide pyramids in the locker room and under their seats.
Yeah.
And he didn't tell any of the players this. The team won a playoff game that they needed to win. So then he told them about it. He put a big pyramid in the actual locker room.
Yeah.
And they would walk through it and meditate in it before the games. They ended up winning 2 more games.
That's awesome.
By doing that.
I think
then
that's
eventually
so cool.
They lost game 7, and I don't think they did it anymore.
And then they just gave up completely.
Yeah. Maybe it's because they lost faith.
In the pyramid. It's too bad. You should try it again.
It's too bad.
Try it again.
There's also the song by the Alan Parsons Project called
Alan Parsons Project.
Pyramania. It was written about pyramid power.
Yeah.
Pyramania?
They're the ones who made the Chicago Bulls intro song.
Oh,
here we go.
Which is called Sirius. And I think that's the 3rd time I have shoehorned the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan into this paranormal podcast.
I feel like it's not going to be the last either.
Let's go for a record.
Can we get a counter on the that reference?
Pyramid power kept rolling through the 70s. There were a ton of other books and pamphlets and guides and all kinds of stuff that you could get. People claiming that pyramids would help you bend spoons with your mind. We can tell you firsthand, you don't need to do that. You don't need a pyramid bend spoons with your mind. You could do it. We've watched people do it.
You just need your mind.
You know, there's ideas about using pyramids as wish machines. Wish machines started to become a big deal in the 70s. You would place something that related to something that you wanted inside the pyramid, and the pyramid would bring it
like
to
a manifestation machine, sort of. Okay.
Connor's showing the camera the Pyramid Power Handbook right now. You can use it to charge your wishes.
Got it.
There's a guy by the name of Al G. Manning. We have a bunch of his old reel-to-reel audio recordings that have like exorcisms and seances and things like that. Pretty prolific, weird mail order guy back in the day. He would do color coordination tests where he would sit 2 people in different pyramids and then he would have one person think of a color and send it to the other person, and he claims that it works.
We should try that.
You want to try?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'll do, I have a pad right here. Let me write a color down.
Okay. Purple.
Oh, stop. Too
I was
soon.
thinking about that too.
Were you thinking about purple?
Probably picking up on what Connor was saying. I hadn't even chosen
See,
one yet.
That's what I picked up on Connor.
Well, you guys are the most psychic
I gotta
people
take my
know.
hat off.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Can we get Connor a pyramid for this?
Okay.
Got a plastic one.
Here's what I'm gonna write one down. Don't look at my pad. All right. I've written a color down. I've got it upside down. Connor's in a pyramid right now. He's a plastic one. That's not supposed to work, but
You look like Crowley.
oh no, you do. You do look like Crowley. You got to do this, Connor. You got to put your thumbs out.
No.
No. Okay, I've got a color written down on this pad, upside down. What is it, Dana? I'm sending it to you.
You gonna send it over here, big boy?
Okay, I'm sending it to you, and now I'm sending it to you.
Yellow.
Green.
No,
Was it blue?
but you know what?
Stuff doesn't work.
It was blue.
Was it blue?
Yeah, it's blue.
I knew it was blue. I said green. I should have said blue.
All right. So that's what some of the stuff that was going on back in the 70s. All kinds of different people were playing with pyramid power. In fact, I've got it's a National Enquirer. This was from September 13th, 1977, and it's got a cover story down here. Bing Crosby, pyramid power helped me on the road to recovery.
Nice.
It's a very short article. It's basically him talking about how while he was healing from an accident, his friend, Trader Vic, if you're a Tiki fan, you know Trader Vic. Trader Vic sent him a pyramid, and he sat underneath of it while he was trying to heal from this injury. And when interviewed about it, he's like, I'm hurt. I'll try anything.
Yeah. He was just willing to do anything.
So he didn't actually say that it did anything.
But then he tried it, maybe.
But he tried it.
That's cool.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Yeah, Christmas
Yeah.
crooner, Bing Crosby. Healed by pyramid power, maybe.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Well, there were more books that were written.
I'm not even remotely surprised.
This is sort of where our museum collection starts to coincide and dovetail with pyramid power, because one of the first things that we ever collected relating to this subject is the original cover painting of the psychic power of pyramids.
It's one of my favorite paintings that we have. It's
by Ed Pettit.
It's wonderful. It's a bunch of nude people flying around in a pyramid in the sky.
You know, nobody thinks about the pressed up butts on the bottom.
No, it's like those.
If you were in a glass pyramid,
You'd be like, what the
around.
What is that monster up there pressed up against the glass?
Look up above.
What's that one-eyed creature up there?
This flesh-colored monster pressed up against the glass.
He's got a brown eye.
Ew.
Is that God? God has a brown eye, a single one.
I think he's wearing white boxers.
Is he?
He is.
I think, but there's definitely 7 colors and a chakra, and a woman is meditating in frog pose.
In my mind, he's naked.
Yeah.
If you could fly around in a pyramid, in a crystal pyramid, but you had to be naked to do it, would you still do it?
No.
You wouldn't do it?
No way.
Oh my God.
I would do
really-
it, and it would go around, and it would make it sound like the Jetsons cars.
The Psychic Power of the Pyramids, that book is the sequel to Secret Power of the Pyramids.
Yeah.
These are interesting books because they're kind of like, they're getting to that post-pyramid power phase where everybody sort of knows the basics of the stuff, and so they're getting real kooky with it.
Real weird.
The first book is basically all experiments that you can do. Different types of things to do inside of pyramids. It's less about like the mystery of the pyramids and more about like, here's all the experiments you can do. The one that we own the cover painting of, that one is the cool one because it's all of people's experiences after trying those. And there are some crazy stories in there. One of them in particular is about a woman who had a premonition that came true. This is great. It's definitely a premonition, but it's a very mundane one. One afternoon, while sitting in my pyramid, my mind kept repeating an image of a black UPS truck. I tired of these images and left the pyramid to return to the living room. I no sooner had sat down that the doorbell rang. Can you guess what was there?
The UPS truck?
The UPS truck was outside, but they were shocked to see it because they had not ordered anything. It turns out the delivery man wanted to leave a package with me for my next door neighbor who was not at home at the time.
I mean, that's
cool.
First of all, two things. One, I love that it's like useful.
Yeah.
Like I like it when psychic ability is like useful and you're not just seeing things that like are totally not of any help to anyone. But I also enjoy the fact that it was like a deeply personal experience for this person.
For sure.
So like seeing something like that and then having that happen, they must have been like, 100%, like validated completely. It's such a cool thing.
This person will believe in pyramid power until they die.
Yeah.
Because
and
of
psychic
that experience.
ability.
And psychic ability.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it happens sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like, who are we to laugh at something? Because literally, like
you had that happen to you.
That kind of a thing happened to me where like
Yeah.
a mundane object
Yeah.
leapt into your head, and then suddenly it occurred in real life right soon after. And it's really scary, startling, can change your worldview.
Cool.
So
it's a fascinating story. And I think some of the most fascinating ones are a little more mundane.
Yeah.
They're a little easier to believe, frankly.
Yeah.
the profoundness of a UPS truck
Yeah.
and a tin can.
And a tin can.
Yeah. I just want to report back. He's not naked. He just does not have legs.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
And the woman is naked. And on the pink
I
one,
knew someone was naked.
she is definitely naked.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah. I'll put it on the screen for everybody.
I'd love to know who has the pink painting out there.
I know. It's got to be out there somewhere.
It must be. It looks like they left room for the text and everything like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
on the original that you have.
These books have a lot of ideas in them that are fun to consider, but there are some that are not so fun.
Yeah.
And when it comes to things like health, there's stuff in a lot of these books that talk about like how you can cure cancer with pyramid power. A lot of these guys are hawking supplements to people that are supposed to cure cancer and like, make you smarter and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I think you should never with.
Yeah.
It's fun to entertain these ideas, but when it comes to health, you should always, take that much more seriously than these people did.
Yeah. Playing around with these different ideas and experimenting with these different ideas is one thing, but claiming that they can cure, things like cancer or any kind of an illness at all is a really dangerous and, bad thing to do. And so, but again, really, this exists in the New Age community and in a lot of these sort of fringe areas where people cross those lines way too easily and can use some absolute, like speak in absolutes in ways that they absolutely should not be.
If you are interested in experimenting with this type of stuff, if you suffer from an ailment and you are thinking like, whoa, maybe pyramid power can work for me. The only thing that I would say is never use that instead of traditional medicine.
Yeah.
Use it to supplement medicine. Don't take weird pills that people are trying to sell you for stuff.
Only listen to doctors.
Listen to doctors. And here's the thing. They're boring.
Yeah.
Trust the boring guys who are doing the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Don't leave
that
your health up to copper pyramids, please.
Yeah, and make sure that the other people who might use the term doctor or the label doctor are actual doctors.
Speaking of.
That was a good segue.
That was a very good segue, Dana.
All right.
Where our story with pyramid power ends today kind of dovetails in now with the items that we're wearing on our head, some of the items that we have in the collection, because these were developed by a man who claimed to be a doctor. In every single book that he wrote or others wrote about him, we cannot find his credentials. So we're just going to call him, instead of doctor, we're just going to call him Fred.
Fred is great. I like that.
It's his name.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Yeah.
Fred feels like a trustworthy name.
Yeah.
Fred claimed to be a rocket scientist at 17 years old.
Yeah.
He also claimed to be a quantum physicist. He was a naturopathic doctor, a nutritionist, and a musician. Fred Bell, the creator of Pyridine Systems, the pamphlet here that we have been referencing a ton. It's sort of It's full of all kinds of ideas about pyramid power, some of them kookier than others. Pyridine Industries
sounds like a shipping company in the Alien franchise.
It does.
Sounds like
Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Pyridine Systems is the culmination of every bit of pyramid power stuff we've discussed today. He's got the marketing down. He's got the merchandising down. In fact, the quote about this is, Pyridine's products are based on ancient pyramid technology, modern quantum physics, and quantum biology. Pyridine focuses on increasing and protecting people's health, energy, and well-being, and expanding consciousness.
It's a lot of stuff there.
It's a lot of stuff. Just like Fred was a lot of things.
Yeah.
Checking all the boxes. Took everything everybody's learned about pyramids and created this company. And he's the reason we're even wearing these pyramids on our heads. These were made by him.
By hand.
Yeah.
In a forge somewhere in
Arizona?
Norway.
I think it was Arizona.
Oh,
is where,
okay.
is where
In a
they're
factory.
from.
In a factory
Fred Bell
somewhere.
was a red-blooded American.
Okay.
His main claim with the Pyridine helmets was that they kept emotional balance. But I can say after wearing one for a few days,
I feel emotionally unbalanced.
I feel
more
like
than anything.
I don't know. People have been laughing at me. Pyridine's not around anymore. They closed last year in 2023. I think the pandemic took them out, as did many small businesses. This one was run by his daughter after he passed away. He passed away not too terribly long ago.
She sounds very nice, too, in a couple of interviews.
We're looking at the old website right now from, when was this, 2008?
Yeah.
This is awesome because this website looks like the websites you were looking at when you decide to look up somebody you heard on Coast to Coast AM.
This looks like the Girly Ghost Hunters website.
It does. It's got lots of animated GIFs on it, and he is selling all kinds of shit. There's giant crystals. There's like Chipotle flavoring you put in your food that's like pyramid powered.
I saw that. I was like, does that say Chipotle on it?
This is a good one right here. This is the Pyridine Hydrogen Quantum Sound Generator, also known as a wind chime.
It looks like a wind chime.
The new website, the newer one, it's not online anymore. We're looking at it the Wayback Machine. This one, you can tell that his daughter has taken over. It has a much more millennial, new age sensibility to it. It's way more well put together. There's like attractive models who are modeling all of this stuff. The stuff is the same. It looks the same.
Not 50-year-old men with mullets.
No. But guru looking folks.
You'll notice that a lot of the stuff that he sells are these nuclear receptors.
Yes. These are a version of Patrick Flanagan's original thing like you're wearing.
Yeah.
These things were intended. So while Flanagan's stuff was meant to like make your wishes come true, like to bring positivity towards you, what Fred Bell's medallions did, they were actually filtering negative energy out of your aura. So it wouldn't allow it into your aura. Only the stuff that filtered through the crystal could get into your aura. And that was the good stuff.
That feels very much of a time period. Like
doesn't it, though?
There's an era. I mean, it's probably still the same era, but like the idea that you're, like purging toxins and like a lot of that kind of stuff is very popular in the New Age.
It says they're designed with the resonating power of pyramids to positively impact you. The center gemstone directs the color and light frequency that you need into your body, protecting you from EMF, ELF, Wi-Fi, cellular frequencies, environmental pollutions, toxins, and stress.
That is a hell of a claim.
There's 7 colors of the gemstones. Consciousness vibrates at 7 different levels. Each vibrational level of the hydrogen atom corresponds with a level of consciousness. Likewise, a sound and color correspondence also exist. 7 levels, 7 colors, 7 sounds.
Well, there you go. Makes perfect sense to me.
Yep.
The 7 sounds
Sounds good to me.
The 7 sounds are
a dog,
hot, wet farts.
A dog barking.
A basketball swoosh.
A fire alarm beeping in the back of somebody's video.
Yeah.
A trunk closing.
And this.
Those are a few of those sounds.
Yep.
Those are the 7 key sounds.
Those are the 7 sounds of the universe.
7 sounds of the universe.
Fred Bell was an interesting guy. I think you can see this already with his legacy, what remains of it. Fred Bell was born in 1943, and he claims that at the age of 14, he studied at the University of Michigan under a physicist by the name of Dr. Donald Katz.
Dr. Don Katz.
While working with Donald Katz, he worked on what he referred to as a sort of magnetism project, which was later revealed to be the Philadelphia experiment.
Oh.
That's a bold, considering what we've been talking about all day, still another bold statement coming.
14-year-old Fred Bell just making ships time travel and disappear.
Yeah. Icon.
Men fused into the hull when they come back.
Yeah.
We should do...
No cares. I saw a man's body half in and out of a ship.
Of a ship's hull.
He was screaming in pain.
And you just have to imagine that he's saying this very nonchalant.
Yeah.
When I was 14 years old, I made a ship travel through space and time.
And then a man's body was half.
Yep.
There's an entire coast-to-coast interview of him with Art Bell talking
amazing.
about how he made a time machine, but his time machine it was part of the Philadelphia experiment. He continued the work privately, but it could only travel you a few milliseconds into the future.
You know what?
Yeah,
I have one too. It's called a human body.
Yeah, it's also called a hero dose of marijuana.
Hey, do you guys want to time travel?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Boom! Did it! That's what Fred Bell was saying, basically.
Yeah.
Was that he just waited.
He just waited 15 seconds.
It could be enough. I mean, think of Back to the Future stuff. Is that enough for like sports gambling? It's not.
It's not.
No.
A millisecond?
No.
Completely
it's not.
useless.
No, it was it would be not helpful.
Well, it gets wilder from there because he claims that he joined the Air Force and worked on classified radar warning systems. I think he said it was like he was like 17 when he joined the Air Force, right? He claimed. He worked on classified radar warning systems, and it was while he was in the Air Force that he found a new obsession. UFOs.
Oh, no.
It always comes back to UFOs.
Yeah, usually this pipeline into the UFO area is not a particularly good one, so I'm looking forward to
it gets
this.
worse. Just
You
wait.
can change your
that's what
hat
I'm
if
saying.
you want to.
Yeah, do you need your skeptic hat
Yes.
on? I'm leaving mine. I'm leaving my pyramid on.
You lost me after Flanagan.
Yeah, my hat's going back on.
I'm holding out, man.
It's fine.
I got some ideas.
I've been wearing this for days.
It's
Greg won't take it off.
sunk cost fallacy at this point.
He's holding his wig on.
I'm really waiting for this to do
He
something.
looked at it on eBay. He's like, oh my God. That's my work.
After working for the Air Force for a while, he claims that he joined NASA as a rocket scientist and worked with Werner von Braun.
No, thanks.
If you kids have not heard of Operation Paperclip, you should check it out. You're going to learn something real fascinating about the history of your country. Werner von Braun probably hung out with the same guys that the editor of Chariots of the Gods did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of those guys in a lot of this subject matter.
It's kind of annoying,
Yeah,
frankly,
it is
that we
incredibly
cannot
annoying.
look into anything paranormal without running across Nazis.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying.
Pretty annoying. Anyway, then he went to the private sector, and he was a consultant on numerous jobs. One of them, he claimed, was to instrumentalize over 2,000 projects all over the U.S., went into about 3,000 different firms, making it so he was aware of, quote, basically everything scientific that was going on in America.
This is my
That's
favorite
a quote.
That's my favorite quote of the day, I think.
Can you imagine asking somebody, no, I know everything scientific.
Have you
going on."
heard about? Yeah,
I was part of that project.
I know.
I'm aware of everything that is scientific
Everything scientific
that's going on in America.
in America.
He doesn't even
Right
go
now.
here. Yeah.
God.
Great. Good guy. Good guy. Interesting character. Did he make Pyridine on his own?
Well, here's the thing. He founded the company Pyridine in 1975, mostly to sell this type of headgear. He made different versions. Some of them were for fruits and vegetables. Some of them were big enough to go over your bed. All kinds of different stuff. And they got more and more elaborate. Some of them had crystals. Crazy. We have the very simplistic versions just meant to, keep you from aging and make you smarter and all that kind of stuff. But he did not form Pyridine systems by himself. He actually had a co-founder. This co-founder was from Pleiades.
Oh, God.
And was named Semyasa.
I bet she had big boobs.
I think she did. I think she was a big-boobed blonde.
Yeah.
They always are big-boob blondes, aren't they?
Yeah.
If you're curious about Pleiadians, I know, we're pretty into Connor, and I really love contactee stories. Connor, why don't you tell everyone about the Pleiadians?
Pleiadians are from Pleiades. The contact was fairly common in the late 60s and 70s. That was one of the planets that you heard of a lot. Mm-hmm. It sort of was like one of the next steps after the Venusians, which was the planet of the 50s.
Yeah, you're right.
There's still the Pleiadians and the Venusians are still very much people, or they're still very much talked about in the New Age community, just in general. Like it never went away. It's still there.
They're humanoids, right?
Right. So they look a lot like us.
Kind of the blondes. They're not the grays or something like that.
Right.
They are from like 500 light years away, and Fred's contacts and other people's who've had contact with them, it's telepathically.
I love it. Telepathic. Not
landings usually in your front yard.
Just to be clear, he did not have to be wearing a pyramid on his head when these telepathic contacts happen.
No. I found a quote of him describing what those contacts were like from his experience.
I cannot wait for you to read this.
Okay, so he says, here's what happens when Semyase reaches out. Your thoughts start to clear out for no reason at all. You're not interested in thinking anymore, and you feel another person's thoughts, and you know that they are not your own. When that happens, you have a tremendous body sensation. You feel a chill go down your spine. And a lot of time, the hairs on your arms and your head will stand straight up. The next is emotional. The chill dies down and the thoughts subside, and it goes into a feeling. The feeling is that of tremendous love, and it is very feminine. It is not a sexual feeling, but it's like a very warm female that you're attached to and you're just touching.
What the f*** does that even mean?
It sounds like something you read on like an incel board.
Then a very soft voice comes, and the voice has its own particular tone of qualities, and you hear it almost outside of your head, like it's right next to you, and that's where the contacts are. You know that everything is balanced. And then he says, what's happening is there's several processes in the bodies, and I can see that it turns into medical gobbledygook after that.
Absolute bull crap.
Where he's just kind of, hypothesizing what's going on. He mentions, though, that the mindset is that it happens in a non-stressful situation. So it happens when your environment could be stressful, but your mindset doesn't have to be. He said it happened in a traffic jam. He said it happened on a plane, and, quote, because I was free, I was in the flow of a traffic jam, and I had accepted that situation. There was nothing left to do but to sit it out, and I just started writing out what I was told. There's an excitement to it. It often happens when you least expect it. So the mindset shift is actually interesting.
It is.
When those clearances occur.
When you really think about it, a lot of what we're hearing about and a lot of what the pyramids are facilitating for people is really just like resting. Like just taking a minute, taking a beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not doing something for a few minutes.
Being mindful.
Yeah. And I mean, the problem is always in like this shit where it's just like a guy talking about like blonde ladies with big boobs and touching them and like, but I can't take any of this seriously.
You take the entire thing and let's even track back a little bit to pyramid power itself. People around the 70s had a bunch of pyramids set up in their garages.
Yes.
Yeah. And they would just go out there for like half an hour a day.
Yeah. And they're relaxing. They're literally just relaxing. They're meditating.
Like, but I feel like I'm getting less headaches.
Yeah, because you're relaxing at least like for 20 minutes a day. Yeah. Could you imagine if the average American just took 20 minutes out of their day and just went and meditated or just sat silently and enjoyed yourself?
Here's the thing, though. And this is nothing new. We know this because of the plethora of meditation apps that exist today.
Yeah.
Some people just have to gamify it for it to work.
Sure, and I get that.
And when you look at, like, you practice ritual magic, I've practiced some ritual magic. A lot of what you're doing is theatricality in order to help you, like, they're props to get you into the mindset that you need to relax.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, exactly.
I think the problem is most of these people are reading books that don't say that to them.
No.
Or they're reading material that doesn't say, like, it's not really necessary. It's just a prop.
Yeah.
and then they take it as gospel. The problem is maybe that's the only way it works for them because it's the placebo effect. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I think that this is something that exists is innately frustrating about the New Age community and many New Age kind of belief systems is that they often do come from some source of something that's relatively interesting.
A seed of truth.
Yeah, stories about
what happens is it turns into dogma.
Yes,
they read it.
Sure.
They get the information mixed up with a bunch of gobbledygook.
Yeah,
and then they only believe that because it's worked.
Yes,
they don't realize that it's just set dressing all around the core idea.
Yes,
which is why it's so important to read the source material of every crazy thing that you decide to get into.
It's hard, and another great example of this is not reading the source material of the things that you get into. Sometimes you go, oh, wait a second, I've spent all this time learning about this, and this is old Nazi propaganda.
I know,
like it is. But it's part of the problem that exists in a lot. And we've talked about this a million times, but it exists in a lot of this subject matter. That it's hard to find the source material. Sometimes when you find it, it's too complicated and you don't understand it. And so people come along and simplify it, and in the process, completely distort possibly the original. Exactly.
Yeah. But that's what we do as paranormal researchers.
Yeah.
It really is more about trying to find signal in the noise.
Yes.
And that really is it. And if you are not reading the source material of this stuff, if you're not questioning this stuff, if it doesn't, we always talk about your beliefs should be forged in fire. Mm-hmm. You should be constantly questioning them, constantly testing them,
and growing.
Yeah. And if they don't pass the sniff test, you got to be willing to leave them behind. Yeah. But I think a lot of people are worried about, I mentioned it earlier, sunk cost fallacy. You know what I mean? Like, I've already spent 2 days wearing this thing on my head.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear this thing until it works. And then once it does, I'm going to tell everyone how well it works. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That happens all the time.
Sure.
Do you wish you could have weekly episodes of the Haunted Objects podcast? If so, you're in luck because we just launched Museum Mailbag, a companion show where we dive deep into previous episodes' topics, answer your questions about the unexplained, and reveal the secrets of the universe.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. The only way to get the show is to become a member of the Newkirk Museum of the Paranormal. Becoming a member doesn't just support the show, it also gives you access to monthly live-streamed adventures and experiments with us.
And a magical monthly subscription box with live classes about the occult and witchcraft with me.
Plus, you'll get downloadable goodies, exclusive merch, and more.
To join the museum and get your weekly dose of the Haunted Objects podcast and so much more, join us at patreon.com/paramuseum.
We cannot talk about Fred Bell without talking about the book that he co-wrote with Brad Steiger called The Promise.
Yeah.
This is like an action-packed Indiana Jones style of film.
Yes.
And it's all about how Fred Bell came to become a Pleiadian contactee and how he developed the information that he was delivering to the world through Semyasa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was that like to read?
Connor had to read it.
Poor Connor had to read so much crazy
Connor
shit
really
for
had
this
to slog through it for this one. Jeez. Yeah. The stacks of books kept getting larger and larger.
That's what you pay me for.
Give us the Cliff's Notes, the pitch for the movie. What's the pitch for the movie?
1939, Egyptian desert. Fred Bell's father, who is, I believe, named Alan, finds a mysterious medallion inside the Egyptian pyramids. Doesn't know what it does, but it has an emerald green gemstone in the middle.
Sounds familiar.
He hides it for a long time. Then when he passes away, he gives it to Fred Bell, who is an adult scientist. Fred Bell decides to wear it in public for the first time. He's giving a speech at a New Age convention at the Holiday Inn in Burbank, I believe.
Yeah. Paramus?
In 1971.
Valentine's Day.
Bummer.
And as he's speaking, right before he goes on stage, he starts to hear a female voice inside of his head, and it freaks him out a little bit. He thinks something's going on. It's a voice that he'll come to learn is Semyasa from Pleiades. He goes up on stage, and he's wearing the medallion in public for the first time. A German woman stands up in the audience and is like, "You stole this from my people.
Oh, no!
Of the Knights of Atlantis, and I must get it from you." And she pulls a gun, and she tries to get him. And she's wrestled to the ground and rushed her out of the building. And Fred's like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on? That's crazy." then the whole middle of the book is this action series of him running into, Nazis who are looking for this gemstone that they knew that his dad has, and he remembers
that he got from
that he got from
a pyramid.
Because they want it for there's still a secret cult society and it has special powers, and they learned about it, and so they're looking for it, and they're after him. Perhaps the most climactic interaction occurs when a German nurse, he wakes up in the hospital
Oh my God.
after a fight. A German nurse is above him and has like a needle, and he's like, she's about to kill me, and so he can't fight her away because he's still kind of out of it, but he's still wearing the receptor on his necklace, and a green energy beam of light shoots out and shoots the nurse across the room, and then his friends run in and they're like, what's going on? One of his friends is this woman, and he spends a lot of time in the book talking about how like she clearly has the hots for him. He's like, but I'm too busy with my science work. And so
God,
there's a lot of that. And then, got some real great metaphors. I wrote down some of my favorite sentences, et cetera, et cetera. What ends up happening is at the end, he finally is surrounded by members of the Knights of Atlantis. And they're like, give us the receptor now. He just hands it over.
what?
That's it.
No problem.
What?
At the end of the book, he hands it over.
Here you go, Nazis. There you go.
But then he says,
Psych.
I duped it.
Oh, smart
That's a
guy.
fake. I gave the real one to Samyase.
Oh.
And she has it on her spaceship now.
Oh,
But she did teach me how to
Thank God.
make them. And then I realized it's a big, long commercial for his nuclear receptors.
So you read the whole thing.
Whole book.
You read the whole thing, and it ends
The
with
whole book.
for 4 easy payments of $9.99. You also can have.
God.
He's like, but now I know how to do it, and I can distill it to the common man.
Thank God.
I changed my mind. I'm taking this.
What the
Taking this pyramid off.
But the Nazis could just buy one from him at that point. Isn't that a bad idea?
True.
Also, I'm
Oh
realizing
my Dana, you just pulled the biggest plot hole.
literally, yeah, like
you.
they just bought one. The other thing I'm realizing is, as Connor's saying this, I'm realizing this segment needs to have a drunk history-esque reenactment of this moment with our voice, Connor's voice,
God.
as a voiceover.
So anyway,
I put my skeptic hat back on.
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
can't do it anymore.
Listen, not all of them are going to be weird winners. Some of them are just going to be
I know.
poop.
he did eventually stop being a Pleiadian contactee, and he became an Andromedan contactee, which was apparently a much more terrifying.
Connor told us a little bit about
This is the greatest.
So first off, just remember this gentle feminine energy overcoming you.
Yeah,
You hear
you're
this
just laying
voice
with
in
it.
your head and it's telling you what to do. And then the Andromedans did what, Connor?
What the Andromedans do is they put a freeze ray over your central nervous system, so you're just frozen. And then they beam the message right into your brain.
So they freeze you and your body, and then they take over your mind.
He said it's way scarier. So
I hope that's a direct quote. Way
lot.
scarier.
it's way scarier for sure. So
God.
that is the saga
That
of Fred
is so
Bell,
funny.
Pyridine, and the nuclear receptors, which are the necklace medallions.
So that's where we got all of this stuff is from that crazy adventure that Fred Bell had.
The thing is, he says it's a true story. I mean, we're not going to be assholes about this. Like,
Yeah.
we get it. It's a story that he flubbed up, but it's his daughter is interviewed sometimes. She did an interview with the Skeptic podcast, and she was like, I think it's half truth, half fiction.
Yeah.
Sure.
He was a nice guy.
It's cool that she's so honest about that too.
She's like, he kind of had Pyridine was kind of a side thing. He was really into some of his other science texts and things like that a lot more.
You know what? No matter what, at least Fred Bell was anti-Nazi, which is more than you could say for half of the other writing this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So okay,
Fred
great.
Bell's fighting the Nazis in his story.
Bingo. Not all of it is fun and games. There's some of the stuff in this book that you definitely should not use to try and maintain your health. For example, one of the things that he sells in here is a negative ion generator.
Yeah.
Which it's supposed to clean the air. We know those today as like ozone generators. You can buy them on Amazon if you want. They're what you use to clean out the smell of smoke if you're flipping a house. If you've got to clean out a smoker's house, you use that, or a smoker's car. But you're not supposed to breathe that stuff in because they found out that it causes like pneumonia, basically.
Yeah.
It'll give you a terrible scratchy throat. Some of those things, it can like affect your health in a big way.
Yeah.
So you're not actually supposed to breathe that stuff in.
You should just listen to doctors.
You should.
Actual doctors, not ones from space. Like, come on.
I mean, at least if your doctor's from space, have them prove it to you first.
Yeah. I'm going to need some credentials here.
Get some credentials.
I'm going to need a...
I want to meet Semyase myself.
Yes, exactly.
Put her on the line. Put her on the line.
Get her on the horn.
If I don't see a naked man in a pyramid,
we're done.
Zip it over.
We're out.
Walking out of here.
Well, listen, now that we're wearing our skeptic hats, we're all wearing our skeptic hats again.
Yeah.
Again, planetweird.store if you'd like one. Extremely limited quantities. Very high quality.
Yeah.
Watch the video podcast if you want to see what they look like.
Yeah.
Now that we're all wearing our skeptic hats, I think it's safe that we discuss the way that Fred Bell died, which is very conspiratorial.
Yeah.
It did not help the whole pyramid power conspiracy stuff. Fred Bell in 2011, 68 years old, he flew out to Minnesota to record a true TV reality show.
Impractical Jokers. No. That's the only show on True TV.
He didn't actually die. They practical joked him.
It is the Impractical Jokers.
They got him.
Shout out Impractical Jokers. Shout out Joe.
We unashamed love Impractical Jokers. It's what when we're on tour and stuff. It's what we put on as our comfort thing in hotels.
Semyase is just Joe. Like,
oh my God, I hope so.
The whole thing.
It's my favorite show. It's my favorite. I always tell people that whenever I do the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, I picture the 4 Impractical Jokers as my 4 archangels. And obviously Joe is Archangel Michael. Duh.
Somebody please draw this for us.
Can you put me in the middle?
Somebody please draw Dana doing the lesser banishing ritual.
It's Myrrh without his eyebrows.
Prince Herb.
on the driver's license.
Yeah. Q's there too.
Oh, man.
They're my 4 archangels.
That's very funny, Dana.
Yeah.
It fits your vibe
It does.
so good.
It's
really
perfect.
does.
So if you end up seeing me doing it in Hellier at some point in time, just know I pictured the 4 Impractical Jokers as my archangels.
You just ruined like a pivotal moment of Hellier for people.
Sorry.
That's really funny, Dana.
It just makes sense to me.
Such a good show.
Well, see what we said? You need a prop sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to have something to visualize.
Yeah.
And if the Impractical Jokers are your archangels,
they're the 4 people who can obliterate stress in my brain immediately because they make me giggle and make me happy. So
that's magic, baby.
That is magic.
That's great. Unfortunately, as much as I wish that it was Impractical Jokers that Fred Bell was shooting,
he wasn't.
He was not.
They didn't get him to go on a crazy adventure.
Well, I mean, it makes as much sense to me. No, unfortunately, this was before the Impractical Jokers took over True TV,
as they should have,
and they deserved.
Yeah.
This was for Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. A show that I will let you know, very difficult to watch these days because I don't think it aged too well.
Big shock
in the age of QAnon.
It's a lot of flags.
I think there were a lot of red flags. Connor, you tried to track down this full interview clip and you just couldn't find anything.
No, usually I can.
Yeah.
But this one was in clips and a few Facebook videos.
Well,
on Facebook. The fact that it's only on Facebook
just
also
little clips.
is your I know
Keeping
exactly.
the information alive, baby. The global elites, they don't want you to know this information that Jesse Ventura dug out of Fred Bell.
Is that what your shirt is?
It is. It's a gay frog shirt.
Oh, my gosh.
I was
Turning the frogs gay.
perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, I had to wear it today.
That's a real...
Shout out internet comment etiquette.
Yeah.
That's where it's from. Big Money Salvia.
Big money salvia.
The way that this went down, there's a lot of conspiracy around this because Fred Bell died in what a lot of people believe is a mysterious circumstance.
It's pretty weird. I'm not going to lie.
It's weird. He ended up flying out to Minnesota to be on Jesse Ventura's show. So he goes out there September 24th, I think is when he did this interview, 2011. Bell tells Jesse Ventura that he was a NASA scientist, and then he became a consultant for the government where he developed a ray. Things get kind of dicey when you start talking about rays, invisible rays.
Yeah.
He developed a ray that acted on your central nervous system. Did he get this from the Andromedans? Maybe he got that information from the Andromedans. He developed a ray with the government that you could use. It was invisible. It didn't have anything that you could trace. And you would use this to basically kill people. It was like a murder ray. And Jesse Ventura says to him, aren't you worried about telling this stuff to the world? And he said, no, because sometimes they need things from me. So they need me. They need to keep me around. The next day, he was found dead in his hotel room.
Yikes. In the hotel.
In the hotel.
Wow. Of like a heart attack or something?
That, I think that's what they said he died from. And I mean, if we're being skeptical with our skeptical hats on, that could have been what it is. He was 68 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Old guy.
Yeah.
He was doing conspiracy theory stuff. So, of course, people are going to have questions.
Yeah.
Now that we got that out of the way, this is the perfect time for our final pyramid experiment. And so for this, I'm going to put my pyramid hat back on. I'm going to take my skeptic hat off because I really want this to work.
So this has been underneath the pyramid.
Yep.
Which has been changing the pre-printed numbers underneath.
I don't know how it works. We listen. We've already put way too much thought into pyramid
good
power.
vibes. Good vibes.
I'm going to use one of our
spoons.
bending spoons to scratch off this lotto ticket. I spent $10 on this Ohio lottery ticket.
And you bought it with the hat on, too. You picked it out with the hat on.
So I had this on.
Oh, so you chose it specifically
Yes.
with... Okay.
All right, so I've got to scratch off the winning numbers. Here's my winning numbers. I've got a 4, I've got an 8, I've got a 38, a 29, a 30, and a 6. So now I scratch down all of these.
Have you ever won money on a scratch ticket?
Yeah, my dad gives us scratch tickets for Christmas every year.
How much money did you win?
It was less than $50, but it was enough where you were like, oh my gosh, you can get like $40 from it.
I think I've never bought one, but I got one for my birthday like a million years. I think it might have been my 19th birthday. And the only one that I've ever gotten, I won $100 on. So
what?
I'll hold out hope that all of my luck is going into this one.
Superpower. That was awesome.
I've never bought one myself. Someone else bought it for me.
It has to be a gift.
It has to be a gift.
Like a tarot.
Yeah.
Well, the shit doesn't work. I'm putting the skeptic hat back on.
There we go.
Over it.
I knew this is how this episode was going to end. It gave you a dream for a moment, though.
For a moment.
It was nice, wasn't it?
All right. Well, now that I know that doesn't work, let's have a serious discussion for a second.
Six grand.
Yeah, right. Let's have a serious discussion for a second.
Yeah.
We've proven that a lot of the men and women that we've discussed today were smart people. Mm-hmm. These people were journalists. Some of them were legitimate scientists. Mm-hmm. You can find their credentials. Why is it that smart people sometimes fall into stuff that is very easily disproven?
I think that they're not looking at it from a grounded, logical perspective, and then the pseudoscience takes over, and it's the subjectivity of their experience becomes their dogma at that point.
Yeah.
And then they let that be the thing that drives them forward. And like you said, when somebody also comes out publicly and says, like, I believe in this thing, it makes this stuff happen. At a certain point, even if they stop believing in it, most people won't admit that publicly.
Yeah.
And some of these people have businesses, books, their public personas are connected to a lot of this kind of stuff. And like, it's not the greatest answer. It's kind of a boring answer, but it seems as if it's, something that is it's important for them that it does work at a certain point.
So what's the difference between, because like, here's the thing. I don't think that I'm terribly smart. I think that, I'm intelligent enough to make this my job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe in some really weird stuff that I know that most people who would consider themselves skeptical or intelligent would never believe in. What makes us different from those people?
Well, I think the difference is those people are taking advantage of people. Like it's not a great truth, and like I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Do you think that they're always doing it on purpose?
I don't think they're doing it on purpose most of the time. Like it's like cold reading with a lot of like mediums. Like half the time the people are cold reading don't even know they're cold reading. They think they're psychic.
You're right.
Because they're being taught.
Here's the thing. They know the answer, but they got to it the wrong way.
Yeah. And so
they don't know they're doing that process.
I know a lot of people who are involved in the New Age community and healing modalities that are connected to the New Age community. And I genuinely don't believe that many of them, I mean, some of them are the worst people I've ever met on the planet, like the most terrifying, deranged people you'll ever meet. But a lot of them really are just wonderful, nice people.
Sure.
And I don't think most people go in with nefarious intentions. I think they either can get lost in the sauce and forget to have one foot in and one foot out, or I think that their lives get very overly connected to a lot of it, and it's very tough for them to, detangle that.
Yeah.
Anything that goes immediately is connected to someone's health or their well-being, I have to put my skeptical hat on.
Health, well-being, dead relatives.
Yeah, there's some subject matters that I feel are very sacred, and I think that when you have people that are maybe using some methods that aren't necessarily the most authentic or the most honest, I think in those spaces we have to put our skeptical hats on and be 2 feet on the ground about that kind of stuff.
A lot of people believe that they're open-minded, but they're really not.
No, because
open-minded is going, well, something weird happened to me. I don't know what it was, but I'm going to leave the possibilities open. And, maybe the pyramid did heal me, but maybe I know better than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what part of it I think it is that so many people get stuck in a feedback loop with devices.
Yeah.
Where they have to have a device to blame it on or a device to say that this is happening through.
Sure.
When in reality, we just live in a very strange universe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good example of that.
Yeah.
One of the best examples of the characters from this whole story that we've told is Max Toth. There's an interview I'll post with between him and skeptic.com, a recent interview. And it's basically just about how pyramid power was just this weird phase of his life, and he's just not into it anymore.
That's cool.
No kidding.
And so he's just kind of
really
like,
cool.
It's kind of a phase went through, and et cetera, et cetera. And he just kind of tells the story like it was.
Wow.
He was like, my friends were like, you're really dumb if you don't make money off this, because he wrote the book out of just pure interest, and then was like, oh yeah, I should sell some cardboard pyramids, and then he started doing that.
No kidding.
He's like, I didn't really make that much money from it. I mean, most of it went back into it.
No kidding.
Because they were hard to ship and et cetera, et cetera. And it was just kind of a thing he did for a little while.
You know what's funny? I feel like I can relate to that.
He stepped out of it.
I think we can all relate to that. We were all into stuff that we're not into anymore when it comes to the paranormal.
Yeah.
Like my views on haunted objects have changed unbelievably in the last decade, where I believe that I really do think that the source of most paranormal activity is us. I think that we are a generator for that stuff. And I don't think you need a pyramid. I don't think you need special devices. I don't think you need neurophones or amulets or anything like that. Maybe they help us focus some of our innate power, the power of the mind. We know the placebo effect works. Doesn't matter if this thing's real or not. If you believe it is real, it'll work. You can create ghosts with your mind. This is what the Philip experiment was. The props should help, not hinder. And I think that that's what ends up happening with things like pyramid power. The crazy thing is, and this is really the kind of the end cap to this entire conversation is, you remember that booklet that we talked about early on?
The Bovis booklet.
The Bovis booklet. Really the start of pyramid power in the early 1900s. This guy who goes into this pyramid and he sees that there's a dead cat, guess what? That mother never even went to Egypt.
Yeah.
People didn't read the pamphlet.
Yeah, literally.
Everybody who told these stories over and over and over about the dead cats being preserved.
In every book.
Every book. Those never read the actual pamphlet.
Yeah, they didn't read the source material, even if it's in French. I mean, like, and that's the other thing. It's not like we're talking about a dead language. It's not Latin.
No.
It's in French. Like, somebody French, please just translate this for
Literally, Bovis, it's not even his fault.
Yeah.
He documented his stuff very well.
Yeah.
He literally starts the pamphlet off by saying, I couldn't get to Egypt, so I built a scale model, and then I used a pendulum over top of it and performed my experiments in a 1 to 1,000 scale model.
Yeah.
You can read it yourself.
Yeah.
You can Google translate this thing.
Yeah. But you're right. It's the perfect example of how this kind of scenario happens, where you have people who are not as dedicated as much as the source material, maybe. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of these guys were just interested in quick bucks.
Yeah, or that
making
too.
some quick money.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to do that without, spending all the time that you should
Yeah.
reading the source material.
Yeah, especially when you're like claiming to give people health advice and stuff. Like, that's mental health advice.
And
like,
it all stems from a complete misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Wasn't even Bovis's fault.
Could have been very easily avoided by just reading the source material.
Reading the source material. We'll link the source material in the show notes. You can read it yourself, and you can see exactly what this guy was doing.
Yeah.
It was a model the whole time.
The whole time.
A 1 to 1,000 model.
Yeah.
I can kind of see where, because the first person who read this, supposedly, and then started the whole Pyramid Power sharpening razors thing, which was the first original, got bits and pieces. Maybe he spoke a little bit of French.
Yeah.
The Carol Durable. Where he's like, well, the dead animals in pyramid, et cetera, but not realizing that he was talking about a scale model the whole time. So it's kind of built on some shaky ground to begin with, which is ironic because the pyramids are not. Those are the most stable structures in the world.
Nice job bringing that around.
Really good.
Listen, I'm not a hardcore skeptic. I think that's very obvious if people watch our content. We try very hard to walk the middle of the road. I think that you learn more that way.
Yeah.
And you got the ability to kind of bounce back and forth between different, subcultures and different ideas, and you get to experience the richness of the world. My hard line is, does it hurt people?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can believe all kinds of crazy stuff, but when it comes to like hurting people directly or indirectly, that's usually where I draw the line. That's why some of the stuff with Pyramid Power bothers me, because it deals with people's health.
Yeah.
You're saying you can cure cancer, health supplements, like stuff like that really bums me out. And I think that if you ask a lot of people who are intelligent, they will tell you it does seem like we're entering a new intellectual dark age where people don't really care about source material. They don't look at this stuff, and they don't understand that a lot of what they're doing is actually hurtful both to them and the world around them. Do you believe that the people who were coming up with Pyramid Power, do you think that they knew that some of what they were doing probably wasn't good? Do you think they were actively grifting people?
It's a hard question to answer, because the reality of the situation is, I think probably most of them, yeah. Like, probably most of them. I think it doesn't necessarily mean that it started off that way, but I think that for some of these people, maybe not all of them, and maybe not even the people that we've talked about today, but I'm sure that there were quite a few people who recognized that this was a subject matter that could be exploited very, very easily, and they took full advantage of that. We see it in the paranormal community. We see it in the UFO community. It's not like it's not still happening.
See it in the cryptozoology community.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate reality that I wish more people were willing to have honest conversations about.
I don't want to believe that they all were doing that on purpose. I think that, again, the idea of coming to the right answer, maybe taking the long way around, and not using Occam's razor. I think that the maybe intentional or unintentional side effect of Pyramid Power was what you said earlier. People were taking a moment to sit under these pyramids and center themselves and go inward rather than go outward. And that's something that I think the world needs a lot more of today.
Yeah.
So maybe there is a way to be intellectually honest with pyramid power and say, I need this thing to make me feel this way so that I can get to know myself better.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's all we really are asking for at the end of the day, is really like, we can still be interested in these weird things, and we can still be interested in the fact that it tasted like our alcohol didn't taste quite as bad.
Right.
But the reality of the situation is none of those conversations are worth having if the rest of it is just bullshit that people are lying to you about. So, like, if we can't just be honest and have actual conversations and do, at least approach this with some semblance of like logic and reality, then what are we doing? We're just cosplaying and goofing around.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's not.
It's not necessarily a bad thing to do that. I feel like it's easy to feel like a lot of what you do as a paranormal researcher sometimes, if you're going with the flow, is you feel like you're LARPing a lot of the time, but then something amazing happens.
Sure.
I felt pretty damn powerful when I was walking around with a pyramid on my head. Like, what is anybody going to say to you? You know what I mean? People were smiling at me. It was making people laugh. I had a good time doing that, and it made me feel better. It genuinely had a positive effect on me. So I think if we're intellectually honest about it, there are ways to use these things, which maybe didn't always come from, great beginnings, as ways to help us and help the world. I'm going to read a quote. I think this is the best way out. I want to read a quote from The Psychic Power of Pyramids. It's on page 24, so it's pretty early on. With the discovery that the space inside a pyramid structure produces different phenomena from the space outside of it, we're learning more about energy fields. And now, in dangling the carrot of elusive energy fields in front of us, the pyramids are demanding a greater knowledge of the nature of reality before unveiling all the particulars to us. It seems evident now that we will be unable to fully comprehend the mysteries of the physical pyramids until we fathom the invisible pyramids within ourselves. A journey then must be undertaken, and the Giza plain beckons us less than the journey inward. It's actually a really beautiful sentiment.
Yeah.
You don't need the pyramids to have some crazy mystical power. You just need to be inspired by them.
Yeah.
And some of these things, paranormal stories, regardless of where they start, they can inspire us and they can change us. And if they can force us to go inward and we find something positive in that, that's a good thing. So it doesn't really matter whether pyramid power is real or not, as long as you believe that it does something good for you. On that note, I'm going to take the skeptic hat off one more time because I do have one more surprise for you guys.
Is it a vice?
I do also want to mention, this is one of the most fun episodes we've done. Basically, I've got to smoke, drink, and gamble.
The whole time.
The whole time.
The whole entire episode.
I saw your faces. I saw you guys. That booze tasted better.
It did.
It did.
I don't understand why.
I don't know why
Someone
either.
explain this to me, please.
That's a weird thing. That's the outlier in our tests. Every other one of them failed. But for some reason, that was pretty great.
Yeah.
We did do a fruit test that they describe in these books. It was actually Connor's idea. You were here 2 weeks ago for the last batch of episodes, and you said, we're doing this. You got some bananas here. I'm going to try this. They were from the same exact banana bushel.
Yeah.
They looked exactly the same.
Uh-huh.
You put one inside of this exact copper pyramid.
Yeah.
Put another one on the outside. We took a bunch of pictures of it as it continued to decay. I have them right here.
I was wondering what happened to those bananas.
I've got them right here. You can see them on screen. Let me hide my head here so you can see them a little bit better. It's very obvious that one of them is more decayed than the other, right?
Yeah.
Which one? My left hand or my right hand? Which one is more decayed?
Your right hand.
Right hand, yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Okay. Which one do you think was under the pyramid?
I know you're going to tell me it's the other one.
Is it the left hand?
It was the left hand. It is clearly far less decayed than the other one. This is why pyramids are a haunted object. God damn it!
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
I hate these pyramids.
The Haunted Objects podcast is hosted by Greg and Dana Newkirk, produced by Connor J. Randall, with cinematography and editing by Carl Pfeiffer. and features exclusive artifacts from the Newkirk Museum of the Paranormal. To learn more about the artifacts featured in this episode, take part in live interactive experiments, and enjoy exclusive Haunted Objects content, become a museum member at patreon.com/paramuseum. This has been a Planet Weird production for Spectre Vision Radio.
Chris Dunn.
I think Chris Angel could beat up Zach Baggins.
No, I think he's short. He's a shorter
I don't
guy.
know, though. He can do, like, ninja tricks.
No
he
one
can disappear.
He's magic.
He's magic. He could take Baggins.
Beckons has the devil on his side.
Is that who sits on your shoulders? You have Chris Angel on one and Zach Baggins on the other?
Yeah. They are kind of the same font, aren't they?
Carl, could you put little gifs of either of them sitting on Connor's shoulders?
Tight black tees.
Chris Angel and Zach Baggins, they're both like Vegas guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the same font.
They are the same font.
I bet they run into each other.
They might be
Do you
friends.
think they're like arch enemies? Or
I
they're either
hope
that
so.
they're friends or they're like they hate each other.
They probably meet in something called like the vampire room.
Yeah.
You're never going to hear about it?
No, never.
The shadowy vampire club.
You listen to Zach's EVP EDM music.
Yeah.
Necrofusion.
Man.